Hello and welcome to the RedLaughRiot podcast. My name's Matt.
And I'm Ben.
And I am Sebastian.
This is Sebastian, everybody. Say hello. Well, or wave through your virtual devices.
I'm waving. You can't see me, but I'm
so
waving.
He works
right
in the
now.
film and television industry, just like he went to Southeast with us as well, so we're good friends with him.
That's how we know him.
Yeah.
He's not just some random that we found on the street and said, "Hey, do you want to be on a podcast?"
Yeah,
that'd be interesting though.
Yeah,
Just grab someone off the street and just do a podcast. That'd be cool.
I don't know how that would turn out, eh? But like we'd like to do with all our guests, we're going to ask him a few questions to just introduce him and get him, microphone happy.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so this is called the Lipton questionnaire, and it was made famous by James Lipton,
Right.
who had still actually has a show called Inside the Actor's Studio.
Cool.
And these are the 10 questions. All right, I'm going to fire away.
All right.
Don't overthink the question.
Okay.
That's
Just-
my advice.
Yeah.
All right, what is your favorite word, Seb?
Favorite word? Probably excellent.
Excellent?
I think I use that word too often, but it's just it's an excellent sounding word.
That's
I
an
just
excellent sounding word.
describe everything as excellent. Yeah.
All right.
Excellent.
Now the opposite. What is your least favorite word?
I think maybe it's maybe three, because I remember I always used to say free because I forgot like that TH pronunciation.
Yeah.
And I remember everyone used to give me a hard time for like saying free when I was meant to be saying three. So maybe that word. Yeah.
I have to apologize, Seb, because I know I'm the type of person to give people hard times for that sort of thing.
All right, next question. What turns you on?
Oh no.
Hold on. Expand on that question.
But it's like what turns you on creatively, spiritually, emotionally, not what turns you on sexually.
Okay. So like personality wise, what am I?
Yeah.
Like in a
Yeah.
personality.
Well, what sparks you up?
Well,
what gets you
not
going?
even necessarily like in a romantic sense, but like just in like what sort of like something that people do, or that
okay.
just you go like.
All right.
That's
Like
dope,
what engages me?
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
person. Okay. Maybe it's like confidence or something. Like I think there's like a difference between like someone being like arrogant and loud and someone just being like a confident person.
Yeah.
That like is like a leader, and you're like, oh, that's just like a well-rounded person. Like I just those people where it's like I'd just like follow you, like I'd listen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Just really charismatic sort of.
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. All right. So now the opposite. What turns you off? So
Turned me off.
what's just something that people do that's
Oh.
you're just like, nah, that's not on.
Maybe it's like closed-mindedness.
Yeah.
Where you're just like rigid in a certain way, and you're just like, oh no, it's this. Like when when people say, yeah, just like a no or something, or like just not willing to try new things. I think, yeah. Or no, I changed my answer. When someone says they don't enjoy watching movies, that's like that's like like you can have their own opinion about stuff, but like I think just because of how much I love movies, it's like it's definitely very interesting when someone's like, oh, I don't like movies, but it's like, man, like
It's like how though?
yeah, no, sure, yeah. But I think I get it. Like some people don't like movies, but it's yeah.
All right. Next question. What sound or noise do you love?
Maybe like popcorn.
Popcorn?
Oh yeah.
Popcorn popping.
Nice.
Popcorn popping?
Yeah.
Nice. What sound or noise do you hate?
Emergency noises, because it like means
sirens.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because it means something bad's going down.
Yeah.
So it just
True.
yeah.
Nice. All right. What is your favorite curse word?
Probably just the F word.
The F
just
word?
to say
Mhm.
F word when you're just really angry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm definitely someone who like likes to restrain on
Yeah.
how much they swear.
Yeah.
And I'll swear when it's like I'm really like, oh man, like. Oh,
Yeah. So sort of
fuck,
for you to swear is sort of a very much.
And so just that F word, like such a punch,
Yeah. All right. What profession, other than your own, would you like to attempt?
Oh,
So if you couldn't work in the film industry at all,
sure.
just I don't know, film died or something, it disappeared.
Yeah.
That would be sad.
I think definitely something in the lines of marine biology.
Okay.
Like I've always thought if I didn't pursue film anymore, I just like just working alongside marine life, that'd be great. And like definitely somewhere where I can scuba dive every
Yeah.
day. Something along those lines would be great. Yeah.
All right. What profession would you not like to attempt? So just
Cool.
a job that
Wouldn't
just
want to do.
nah.
Not for me. I think. I think the first thing that comes to mind is like, I definitely respect these jobs like
Yeah.
a lot, but like manual labor jobs,
Yeah.
because it's just something like I think I'm just like quite a physically weak person, and I think I'd be
I'm in
pretty
the same
useless in
boat.
that job. Yeah.
I'm in the same boat, my
Although,
dude.
like, you know, I have a magnitude of respect for people that do that, because like just the whole day, like you're probably just sweating buckets, and like just to do that, like big props. But I think that's just not for me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. All right. Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like God to say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
All right. I think probably something pretty generic, like
Yeah.
I know everything's okay
You're
now.
actually in.
Yeah, you did it.
That's my answer.
Yeah, congratulations, and gives me a high five kind of thing. No, but yeah, just everything's all right, you know. And he'd probably just have like a long conversation with me, just like calm me down, because I imagine I'd be in distress. You know,
Yeah.
like where
Yeah.
am I? So just
That's a
you
good
know,
point.
Just like everything's okay. Oh, you know, have you seen that movie? Not movie, TV show, The Good Place.
I've yet to watch it, but I've heard
Oh,
very
it's,
good.
it's such a
I'm
good
pretty
show.
sure
I
Ben's
talk
a
about it
very-
like every week.
Yeah.
And it's like when these people, they come into the good place, they're sitting on this couch and they see this wall in front of them. It's just like everything is fine or something.
Yeah.
And I just like, that's great, you know. And I
Yeah.
think that's the first thing I want to hear. Just like everything's all good.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting point, because no one really brings up like that you'd be freaking out, even if you were in heaven. Like, it'd still be, you know, you're still gonna be scared because you don't know
like,
yeah, you don't know what's really
or you
happening.
probably wouldn't even be aware that
A
you're
lot of people are
dead.
just like in disbelief.
Yeah,
maybe.
you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
shock would be the first thing
Yeah.
that would come to most people, wouldn't it?
No,
Speaking
100%.
of shock,
I know.
it's time to get into our first segment, which is called Reading the Headlines. And something that really shocked me was the first headline from today. Disney reinstates director James Gunn for Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Was that today that this news was released?
It was a couple days ago,
Yeah,
Okay.
like
but it's
2 or 3
the
days ago.
highest voted post on Reddit from
Yeah,
this
sure.
week.
That doesn't
No, that's
surprise me.
understandable.
Which is a shock, because Disney are going back on their word,
Yeah.
you know, or
Yeah.
going back on something that they've done, which you wouldn't expect them to be.
Yeah,
You
that was the
expect them
first
to
thing
be
I
like
thought,
so
yeah.
like uptight about it. And I always believed that the decision they made was incredibly hasty and the wrong decision ultimately. But I'm also just as surprised that they've actually brought him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure where I stand
Right.
on whether he was in the right or wrong. I
Sure.
think there's a definite argument for both sides.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think when he was fired, I'm like, oh damn it, like you can't replace him. And I was like, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is over. you know?
Yeah.
And I really loved that franchise, so it was quite disappointing.
There was even like rumors that the cast were just going to funnel it in, like intentionally, like we're just not going to try.
Well, definitely seen. How do you pronounce it? Dave
Batista?
Batista.
He said he was totally going to pull out.
Yeah,
I think.
No. Yeah, I think it's definitely like Disney is such a large corporation. Like you think they just put a little bit more thought into it before they made a move like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
going
It
back on
happened
it.
in a few
I
hours.
mean,
He was
I
fired.
guess
You know.
that's that's sort of, you know, the culture that we live in now is very much
Yeah.
knee jerk, you know, sort of knee jerk reactions to
Sure.
Yeah.
whatever happens is very common nowadays.
Yeah, so the details state, because recently he was signed on to Suicide Squad 2, which is just another shocking thing, being like, now he's doing both these movies. So what's going to happen is
Yeah,
he's
is
actually
he
going to
still doing
finish Suicide Squad 2,
Okay.
and then he's going to do Guardians 3.
Okay.
So it's going to be at least like a year or so after Suicide Squad comes out,
Oh. Right.
you know, that we'll get the Guardians movie.
So
And
Guardians is getting pushed back quite a bit.
I believe it'll be pushed back at least like 2022, maybe.
Yeah.
At the
Was
earliest.
Suicide Squad 21?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't
Yeah.
know
No,
for
it wouldn't be
sure. But I know they
2020,
haven't started
yeah.
filming, because they've only just been filming the Harley Quinn movie.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know if she's in the new movie, because I think they're still probably finishing up the script and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
But they have announced some casting. Idris Elba's replacing Will Smith's character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I believe it's going to be a different interpretation of the character.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's like a more serious tone version than a
Yeah.
kind of a funny wisecrack kind of guy.
Sure. Yeah.
Which I'm interested to see. I love Idris Elba.
Oh no, 100%.
Um,
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a very good actor for sure.
I like Pacific Rim. It's one of my favorite
Yeah.
movies.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
bit of a guilty pleasure, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he's great in that. I like after seeing that, I'm like, oh, I'm so on board with seeing him in more stuff. So that's a good choice. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next headline from today. Today I learned the world's largest beach cleanup at Mumbai's Versova Beach, at the beach, basically, olive ridley turtles returned to lay eggs for the first time in 20 years.
Aww.
There was actually a photo of actually a different beach, but this kind of trend has been happening where people have been saying, go clean stuff up. And so there was one beach in particular in India as well that was completely covered in trash. You'd think it was a landfill.
Yeah.
And there was another photo of it being clean, which I assume was taken after they've cleaned it up and not they've done it the other way around.
Just found a nice clean beach and just dumped a bunch of rocks.
Yeah, and it's just awesome news to see. It's actually had an immediate effect already. The turtles have come back.
Yeah.
So I assume they only cleaned this up recently. But apparently it took a few years. It took about a team of hundreds of volunteers spending 2 years picking up 11 million pounds of trash, clearing the rivers and putting systems in place to prevent future trash from accumulating, which is something we have talked about previously on the podcast, about how there's a lack of infrastructure in those areas to deal with that, and that's really good that they're not just cleaning up, but they're also kind of putting in systems to
try
and
sort of prevent it from happening again.
Do you know what do they do with that trash, I guess?
Well, it would go to the landfill, but if it's at the actual proper landfill, it would be processed correctly and whatever.
Okay.
So it's not just like in the rivers and killing fish, It's just like killing dirt. It's obviously the landfill is the best place for non-recyclable materials, non-organic materials to go.
Right.
I think that's like definitely an invention that needs to be made. We need to work out a better way.
Of
getting rid of our
trash.
trash.
I always think of that Futurama episode where their solution was just to send everything into space.
Yeah.
And eventually comes back as a massive meteor.
There's already enough trash in space though. We can almost not escape Earth anymore. There's so much trash up there. And if there's enough
space junk,
if there's enough collisions, like you've seen in the movie Gravity, I know, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
You have seen it. Yeah, have you seen it?
Good movie.
It's a great movie. One of my favorites. If something like that event happens, where just all the satellites just crash into each other, it would just create so much debris that we would be trapped on Earth. We wouldn't even be able to leave unless we have a ship that's strong enough to deflect those pieces of metal that are going to be flying through space at hundreds of miles an hour going around the Earth.
And they would just never stop with it.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Once it's in orbit like that, it doesn't. There's got nothing else to stop it.
Still in orbit.
You need someone like Thanos to come in with his Infinity Gauntlet and clear up our rubbish for us. How about you do that for us, Thanos, instead of killing half the universe?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Clean up our rubbish. That will actually help the population. Wasn't that what you wanted?
Didn't we once have a thing where I was basically saying that Thanos was right?
Yeah, you said that we need another plague or another war or something.
I still stand by that, to be honest. 7 billion is too many people.
It's not, considering the landmass we have, it's really not. We just don't have...
But how much of that landmass is can't be lived in?
Absolutely 100% of Earth's land can be lived on.
Nah.
It just needs to be adapted and have infrastructure.
Like the deserts and that.
But there are still people that live in the deserts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
maybe you couldn't have a giant city in the desert.
You know why people live all in cities and that? You know where most of the cities are in the world?
Around rivers.
Yeah, around rivers
exactly.
or coastline.
But there's enough.
Especially Aussie. Have you seen Aussie? Aussie's just around the entire coastline.
People don't live in the desert because it's unpleasant to live in the desert. But it's still possible. You just got to have...
People don't... Yeah, well, also because it's
obviously, you need supply of water from somewhere else.
Yeah.
You can't have a permanent... You can't,
That's why,
get water out
Vegas
of the ground.
and Dubai are, such...
Right.
Rare... name another, desert city other than Vegas or Dubai.
Well, they're both by the water, right? Isn't Vegas by the water?
Vegas is right in the middle of a desert.
Is Vegas not? I don't know where Vegas is. I know Dubai is by the water, though, at least. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. They're the whole Mars thing. They're really excited to go to Mars and colonize Mars. But wouldn't it just be easy to just sort it out? Try to live underwater or something. Or
underwater.
Underwater.
Just live in the deserts or live underwater.
I know. I'm telling you, there's plenty of space on Earth. We're not overcrowded. That's just a big thing that everyone says. The reason they say we're overcrowded is because there are certain places that probably are overcrowded, but there's enough landmass on the Earth that we don't have to be overcrowded,
right?
Necessarily.
Yeah, do we get off topic? We're talking about some turtles.
Oh, that's the point of this podcast, man. We just roll on about whatever. Yeah.
I wonder though how much of Because like surely the amount. What's the percentage do you reckon of Earth that's actually
Inhabited?
yeah?
I don't know. It's probably something like 30%. It's probably less than 30%.
Probably I reckon it'd probably be like 10-15%.
Yeah, it's probably like real small.
Because like this huge area, like Russia is a really good example. Most of Russia's not. It's
Yeah.
just like ice death. Right?
Sure.
Canada's pretty similar to that.
Right.
Just a bunch
There's
of
just big
ice
cities, eh?
death. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Australia's
It's just
pretty
because it's
similar as well.
easier to live in a city, you know. But
Yeah.
can you imagine if one day the Earth was like looked like Coruscant, where it's just buildings everywhere? Do you know what Coruscant is? It's the city in Star Wars, which is like it's a
okay.
planet, but it's entirely one city, basically.
wow.
Like
Right,
it's just
right.
skyscrapers, the whole planet. Yeah.
There would have to be some pretty big skyscrapers
Yeah.
to be like
well,
seen from space.
no, I mean not necessarily they have to be seen from space, but the whole planet is covered in skyscrapers.
okay,
I mean, like
yeah.
imagine the city of New York, but across
Just
the entire
everywhere,
world.
yeah, got
you know
you.
what I mean? Or Manhattan, I mean specifically.
I think you do need those places where it's just like no buildings and it's just like lots
Oh,
of
yeah.
land. That's what I love about NZ, where
Yeah.
it's just like you go out
Sure.
and yeah, it's just like land and beaches and just greenery. Like
Yeah.
if it was just buildings every day, I think that kind of do my head in quite a bit.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to move to Auckland actually, because I thought it was too big. But then I realized living on the North Shore, it's just quite nice
Yeah.
because I don't have to be in the city all the time.
Yeah.
So I try and avoid going to the city if I can. Also parking, man. Oh,
Oh
jeez.
my god. No. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we definitely have gone off topic. Speaking of cities, today I learned, there was another one from today I learned. Today I learned that the little boy known as Bat Kid, do you remember him?
Yeah.
Little boy known as Bat Kid, who saved San Francisco while battling leukemia in 2013, is now cancer-free.
Oh, there you go.
So
Love
what
that.
happened, some backstory. Back in 2013, Scott, the kid, asked Make-A-Wish if he could be Bat Kid, and they delivered. They transformed the city into Gotham, with Little Hero meeting police to quote-unquote fight crime.
That's insane.
Bat Kid freed the San Francisco Giants mascot, Lou Seal, and earned a key to the city as thousands of people gathered in the streets to cheer him on. And now, 6 years later, no more cancer.
Excellent. Man.
That's such a beautiful story.
That's wholesome.
Yeah.
That's wholesome.
They did like a documentary on it. I never saw it. Did you guys see it?
I didn't see it. I've just seen like YouTube videos about it. Yeah. Turn off your
He's got
notifications,
his
Matthew.
phone on.
I had to
80%.
use it for the Lipton questionnaire.
I mean, you can have the phone on, just do not disturb.
It
bro.
doesn't relate to anything. I just need to say
Or
it.
get a
like,
quiet vibrator.
do you know people are just like, they still do this? Like they have their phone on in the theater, and now I've
Yes.
noticed like they actually take it out and
Yeah.
start messaging people.
Yeah.
I had the most unusual occurrence. It was Justice League of all movies. So it's like
Okay.
the one movie you probably could do it. But like it was whenever there was there'd be an action scene and he'd put his phone away, and then they'd start talking, and so I guess that's like a boring scene.
Right.
I guess with quotation marks, but like
Yeah.
he just like took his phone out and just like started messaging people like during like these like boring scenes, and then an action scene would start again and he'd put it back in his pocket, and it was just baffling.
What's the point in going to the movies?
Yeah,
then
what,
if
like
you're
what are you
Yeah.
doing?
just going to be on your phone for half of it?
Jesus. But in conclusion, don't go on your phone in
Yeah.
the theater. It's very like disrespectful to everyone around. Like I know, like I understand if you're bored, but
Yeah.
just leave. It's like
Yeah.
you've just ruined the whole. Because you go to the theater to get that whole like the giant
Yes.
screen,
Yeah.
sound, and that like the giant black room, and like just to be in the presence of people is also quite great as well. But obviously, when everyone's silent and not on their phone.
Not on their phone, yeah.
I know I see comments on Reddit all the time, people complaining about it, and it sounds like a daily occurrence, like in the United States at least. Whereas
for
like
sure.
here for me, it's like I might see it once every 4 or 5 times I go to the movies. So
Yeah.
it's not that often for me anyway.
Yeah.
But when it does happen, it's still real annoying.
Yeah. Well, it's because like you're in this pitch dark room, except for the screen, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you just see like out of the corner of your eye, like a little bit.
Yeah, it's really
light, and
noticeable.
It's just
Yeah.
like there's a special place in hell for people who
Sure.
go on their phone in the middle of films.
It's a place that has no movies.
Despicable.
They can either that, or if they hate movies, then they have to be forced to watch movies.
Yeah.
I think it causes like they do like sometimes a little message at the beginning, like, oh, don't be on your phone.
Yeah,
And it might be,
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
I notice it's always like that spark ad now, or it's like
It depends on the theater.
Yeah,
which,
sure. But I've noticed it's like this is the sound of this, and this is
Oh,
the sound of like you're now the most
that's
hated
2 degrees,
person.
I think.
Oh, is that 2 degrees?
Yeah.
Okay. But there needs to be like a more of like a, more certain message. Like someone's like, hey,
Yeah,
listen
I
up.
like that ad. I think we just need more enforcement. We need snipers behind everyone, shooting at people's phones, or shooting little Nerf bullets.
What about like when you go into a theater, it's just like a place where you can't get signal.
I would love that if they, because that's possible.
Have
It's possible to do
blockers,
that.
Yeah.
But
Signal blockers, isn't that what they're called? Don't they have that at Comic-Con and that? Or you
maybe?
have to put your phone into
I'm
like,
not
a
sure.
thing, and then because they didn't want
Yeah,
people
I
to,
know they're
like,
really strict with that kind of
on
thing.
the-
Yeah.
I think I remember like
previews and all that
Marvel
stuff.
tends to actually have like security around checking that no one's on their phones.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just like looking out and scouting for people with phones. Because again, it's quite noticeable.
Yeah.
when
But
it
that
comes
Avengers
to-
trailer still got leaked, and it was sideways and everything. Oh, jeez. I regret watching that. Anyway,
Right.
yeah,
Moving on.
we've been talking about this for so long. How do we were talking about Bat-Kid, for goodness sake. How do we get onto that?
Well, Matt's phone going
I
up.
love having,
Yeah,
I
I
reckon
like
having a
that.
third person just adds so much more chance to go off topic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so anyway, Matt will now introduce the next segment.
So, it's come to the point where we do top 5. We do it every single week on the podcast, and it's semi-inspired by the film High Fidelity, where they make their own top 5 lists. And I keep introducing it this way because I have to. I've been doing it for like 16 episodes. All right, so today we are talking about our most anticipated films of the year 2020.
And this topic was suggested by Sebastian himself.
So if it's bad, blame him.
Yeah.
I think it's a great topic. I think it's genius. His idea was that we'd do it near the start of the year because,
Yeah.
everyone's doing their top anticipated 2019 films.
Yeah.
We're ahead of the curve.
Well,
Yeah.
we're
You know?
just like, nah.
Exactly.
We don't care about the films
You
coming
were
out
just
this year.
2019. So I felt this quite difficult because I don't necessarily anticipate films. I sort of like hear about them like as they come out.
I'm just getting on my list.
Yeah.
Oh.
I sort of hear about them coming out and then I'm like, oh, I should see that.
Right.
Or I hear about them years after and it's like a film from like 1960 and I'm like, oh, I need to watch that. You know what I mean? So found it quite difficult for those reasons. But here we go. I digress. Number 5, Fantastic Beasts 3. Okay?
Okay.
Yes, Fantastic Beasts
Really?
2 was not good, but it's still Harry Potter
Hold on.
franchise.
That's not coming out next year.
Oh no, I did. Yeah.
Is that
'cause
really?
I was looking at 2020 movies. and-
Really?
it's
Yeah,
coming
I
out
had to.
That's on the
I
list.
looked it up.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Wow.
I had to look.
But you'd almost
up films
wonder.
from 2020.
Sure, I feel like after the second movie, they'd had to do course correction and delay the third movie. I thought they had delayed it. I'm sure I remember reading a headline saying it was delayed. Maybe Wikipedia still has it listed. I'm pretty sure it's actually been delayed.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah.
But keep talking.
Presuming it's coming out in 2020. Yeah, so it's my number 5 pick. Basically, because it's it's in the Harry Potter franchise, which is like I've said it before. Harry Potter, like everyone has their like childhood franchise. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
For me, it's Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
So very protective of it, and therefore that's why I'm like, yo, I'm excited, even though Fantastic Beasts 2 wasn't very good.
My number 5 is a movie that I've talked about in our Reading the Headlines segment in season 1, and it's called Free Guy. It's a movie starring Ryan Reynolds as an NPC in a video game,
Oh yeah.
which is kind of like, I guess, the Truman Show, and he finds out that he's in an actual video game. That's all we know about it so far, but that's coming out next year. I'm really excited. It's just such an awesome idea.
Yeah. Sure.
Which I don't know what else to say. Ryan Reynolds is also hilarious, and he's doing the
Beautiful
Pikachu movie as
Essentially,
well.
anything he
It's gonna be-
does, he's like, he's quite
Everything he
charismatic,
does
like-
except Green Lantern has been and X-Men Origins. Yeah.
I love how though he acknowledges that those are
Exactly.
bad
Yeah.
movies.
like even like his brief moment in X-Men Origins, because I don't consider that last part really him.
Right.
Like,
True. The Deadpool
a lot of that
moment,
is
you
just
mean.
like a
Yeah.
stunt double anyway. But like when
True.
he is,
Yeah,
he
actually,
has
you're
like
right.
a little glimmer.
You're right.
Of like Deadpool, and it's just
You're right.
Yeah.
When he's just the human version of himself.
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
He was 100% though born to play Deadpool. Like,
Yeah.
and it was just amazing in that
Yeah.
role.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's almost
Very funny
crazy
guy.
that he was cast as such a terrible version of Deadpool in that X-Men movie.
Right, yeah.
Mm.
And then in reality, he actually was a good version of the good Deadpool as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Because then you just associate Ryan Reynolds with being a terrible choice for Deadpool, just to how terrible that
right.
like turned out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I remember it was like the, do you remember like that CGI leaked footage?
Yes.
Like I say leaked.
Oh, I think they
Quotation marks
intentionally
again.
leaked it. I think
Yeah,
Ryan
yeah.
admitted that he intentionally helped that
Yeah,
get
just
leaked
to
out.
see like the public reaction, and
Yeah.
that was just like that was so good.
Mm.
And
and that's the reason it got made, because that scene it was still in the movie as well. They obviously redone it, but yeah.
Good times.
Seb, what's your
Seb,
number five?
Number 5. So my number 5 is probably Avatar 2 then.
Mm-hmm.
Because Avatar 2 comes out then. I think everyone's really anticipating in that, like, they're so curious to what
It's
be.
more of a curiosity,
Yeah,
less
so, like,
than a I really want to see it.
Yeah. So I'm like, is this going to be the most mind-blowing special effects movie anyone's ever seen? Is it going to be
I feel like it's not going to
standard,
break
like-
any new ground. It broke a lot of new ground in the first movie, but now it's like, what are they going to do differently?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
like, I
Unless-
think like James Cameron's going on about like underwater motion capture.
That's true. I mean, they're
technology.
shooting a lot of. I don't know if it's a second or third movie. One of them, they shot a lot at the studios here in Auckland, the underwater studios we have.
Yeah.
Or are shooting. I'm not sure if they're finished or not. So yeah, there's going to be some cool underwater stuff. So I am excited for that actually. And it's great to see these new studios being used as well here in Auckland.
Yeah.
New Zealand represent.
Yes. New Zealand. But I don't really like care that much about, like, I did really enjoy the first one, but I don't care too much about that universe, I guess.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
coming back to the second one, it's like, I'm excited.
And it's just gonna, like, if it turns out to be even just average, then it's just gonna be like no one's gonna want to see the third one.
Well, that's the most interesting part,
because they're shooting 2 at once, right? So they have to put out at least 2 more.
And
but they have scripts for 4 and 5 as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, James Cameron is a pretty established filmmaker, so I don't think necessarily there's a good chance it's going to be bad. I don't think it will be bad.
No.
I just think it might not be fantastic, or have the same reception the first one did.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Especially not box office wise. Like, I'd be very surprised if it bet that.
So would I, to be honest. Unless it was a really good movie, then word of mouth will get around and people will be actually like, oh, maybe I should go.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of Avatar 2, have a guess what my number 4 pick is.
Oh, no.
Avatar 2.
Avatar 2.
Right.
I mean, when you're talking about 2020 movies, there's significantly less movies to choose from.
Yeah.
That we know about anyway.
So that's why I sort of kept quiet during any discussion of Avatar 2, because I didn't want to.
He's got a hot take on Avatar 2.
I didn't want to. Basically, sort of a similar thing with Seb. Like, I thought the first one wasn't extremely good, but I didn't think it was extremely bad. I was just like, that was.
That's what a lot of people.
I think the reason why I'm interested is I just want to see where they go story wise, because
that's a good point.
Yeah,
it's interesting because for me personally, being a writer, that's sort of the major thing I look at when it comes to films. I don't know if you guys sort of look more towards editing stuff, since
I'm definitely a bit of both. I know. Remember when I talked about Mortal Engines? Mortal Engines was the movie where I could see the script most.
Yeah.
Because it was so bad.
Yeah.
That it was easy to see how bad the script was. And also there are movies like Pulp Fiction where I can see how great the script is.
Yeah.
From a dialogue perspective, anyway.
Yeah.
Man, that movie, man.
It's a good movie.
It's hard to, for me, it's harder to judge an overall structure of a script, me personally anyway. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I do look into the editing as well, though.
Yeah.
But even editing is really hard to judge. It's way easier to see bad editing than good editing.
Yeah.
That's one of the arts of editing, is just everything should flow. And you only really notice bad editing, like great editing, you just won't notice, because it's
there's certain edits that are really clever that I'll notice.
Sure.
But generally, if it's just really great at building up tension or whatever, I might not notice because I'll just be too involved in it. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of hard to it's hard to judge, and when you want to be an editor, it's kind of hard to. You're trying to learn how to see that, and it's kind of how do you figure that out?
Yeah.
It's kind of tough.
Interesting. So for me, it's being a writer, sort of the where they're going to go story wise is sort of.
Do you mean the premise of the movie?
Yeah, I mean it's where do you go from where the first one finished? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen the film as well.
Invaders
So
from Earth or something.
Yeah.
a big war again, or maybe I just don't even know.
Do you reckon they'll introduce another planet with another alien race?
Yeah,
maybe not in the second movie, because I know the second movie or the third, one of them's really based around water. Because I know that you briefly see in the first movie there's some people hanging out in the water with some aliens. I mean, but we didn't see much of what kind of world they lived in.
Yeah.
So maybe it's completely based over there. Maybe it's not based with the big tree where the other one was based.
Yeah.
With them wanting to make all these future Avatar movies, and have them released quite close to each other.
Yeah.
It's not impossible to assume that it's this one will be maybe a smaller scale, to like the first Avatar. Like, maybe it won't be this big war. Maybe it would be more along the lines of a setup to future installments.
Although you don't want to be too much of a setup movie because, you know, we've seen with some Marvel movies and DC movies that struggle trying to do that kind of thing. I think what you're getting at though could be really cool if it was just like a more personal kind of story for those characters, just in that world. And I know if that happened, a lot of people would be like, "Oh, that was lame. It wasn't as big as the last one." But actually, I would love that if it was a good story and it was a moving, you know, kind of.
It'll be very interesting.
Yeah,
to see.
and if I got attached to those characters, because honestly, I wasn't really attached to the characters as much as I was just interested in the action and the story, I guess. Yeah.
Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah. Moving on to my number 4. This one is Untitled Marvel Studios film coming out on May 1st in the United States. And the reason,
what a title!
And the reason I picked the May 1st release, because they have multiple movies coming out planned, is because the May 1st release is always the big one. That's the Avengers, that's the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, that's Civil War, the Winter Soldier, all the big ones, the big blockbusters come out that time. So I kind of just placed my bet on that'll be the most exciting one.
Yeah.
Even though in the past, for example, not last year but the year before, it wasn't actually the best movie. Guardians, I don't think, was the best movie of that year, but it was still the biggest name in terms of being a blockbuster out of the 3 that came out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's on my most anticipated.
What do you reckon it's going to be? If it's going to be something.
It's a good question. Like I said, it has to be big, so it couldn't be Guardians 3. We've discussed that. It can't be Spider-Man 2 because that's coming out this year.
I'd probably rule out anything X-Men or Fantastic Four.
I don't think we're not ready for that,
Yeah.
Not yet.
Do we think it would be a solo?
I think it's more likely to be a solo movie, maybe a Black Panther 2 or Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's one of those.
Well, like Doctor Strange is like, I guess that did quite well financially, didn't it?
I don't know. I think he's just become more popular because of Infinity War.
Okay, sure.
I'm going to say that I think personally he was way more interesting in Infinity War. But also Black Panther was super popular. I just think more like a Doctor Strange first because he had his movie 2 years or a year and a half before.
Yeah,
Black
sure.
Panther
And you
did.
want to like before everyone
Space it out a little bit.
Because it just seems like I just don't really care about Doctor Strange.
I agree because I really didn't like the first movie. In fact, it's my least favorite Marvel movie.
Oh, there you go.
I just thought it was so boring. But I love the character, and I loved him in Infinity War. So seeing him in another movie with him, I'm sure I would anticipate that.
I wouldn't mind if he became like a Hawkeye equivalent in that he just kind of pops up in random movies.
Yeah.
You know, because
I mean, like
he's
he's
a magic
definitely
guy,
getting a trilogy. Like he has to be because Mordo was teased, you know, as the villain of the next one.
Right,
essentially, so he's almost definitely going to be the villain in the second movie. And then also Dormammu, who was a part of the first movie, we haven't seen him fully being a big threat, so I reckon he would most likely be the threat of the third movie. So, I mean, that's what I assume is going to happen. I'm assuming that's their plan. Anything could happen, though, so we don't know. There's also potential for another Thor movie, but again, I don't think that would happen before Doctor Strange or Black Panther would. Yeah. I think that would happen before another Thor movie.
What about was it a Black Widow movie, though?
That's true. That was rumored. I think was that greenlit? I think maybe it was greenlit, although it wasn't officially announced. Like they didn't give it a date, but they said we're working on it. I think.
Right.
That would be a good one to put in the May slot. Putting a female lead there.
Yeah. And Scarlett Johansson's quite a big name, so
absolutely,
that's definitely
she brings in money no matter what movie, no matter how crap the movie is. Except Home Alone 3, of course. I mean, that was her first role, so her first major role at least, I think. Yeah. Moving on. What do you got for us here?
Okay. Yeah, I think Untitled Christopher Nolan project.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was looking through 2020 movies, and then I just stumbled across Christopher Nolan's got a movie coming out in 2020.
Yeah.
Supposedly, it's going to be that same epic scale that he always does with his movies. All his movies are always this giant event.
They are, aren't they?
You know, and they're always like
your Dunkirks,
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight, Interstellar. Like, no matter what your thought is on them, they're always like these really big movies.
He's just established himself as such a big, huge ideas person. Do you know what I mean? Like he's always got an interesting premise.
Yeah, definitely.
Even Dunkirk, like, put a twist on it by having the 3 parallel stories and everything. You know, so like, he's always got something interesting. Yeah.
So I have no clue what it's going to be about. What it's going to be. I just know that's going to be epic. And I'm on board. You know, Christopher Nolan. I'm sold. You know.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's one of those. Would you say that Nolan's one of those sort of directors who, like, you just hear that?
Well, I think he's like
you're just immediately.
Like, I think the standard like movie-going population doesn't know too much about directors, I would say. Like,
yeah, a lot of people don't. I think
Like,
these
it's more
days
like-
it is increasing awareness. I
Sure,
think
yeah.
like big name directors like Chris Nolan, like Tarantino for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people know if they go into a Tarantino movie, you're gonna know. A lot of people know about Denis Villeneuve. I think I would say. I guess even then actually it's probably still more niche.
But for the standard,
and plenty
it's-
of like
yeah.
comic book fans know about who directs the Marvel movies and stuff.
Yeah,
The James Camerons,
Yeah.
the Spielbergs are probably like.
Spielberg's a huge name.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think just Christopher Nolan definitely falls into that category of like a big name that
Oh,
has been
100%.
established across.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
Mm.
That's
Most
the
audiences.
difference I'd say
Yeah.
between not just a big name, but he makes big films. Steven Spielberg doesn't always make big films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so or maybe he tries to, and they don't turn out to be big. So yeah.
My number 3 pick is the live action remake of Mulan.
Oh yes,
there you
good
go.
pick.
Um,
Good
Alright.
pick.
Big.
Also shot in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Big ups.
I think I got a mate of mine who was actually involved. in
Really?
it. Yeah.
Don't say his name.
I'm not going to say anymore. I mean, you know, being obviously Disney, again, one of the, like, Disney, just a huge studio. Also, the fact that, you know, the sort of animated films very much a big part of, I think, majority of people's childhoods as
Yeah,
well.
for
So
sure.
it's just
Yeah.
interesting to see sort of how they take the animated original and
Yeah.
make the live action remake. Because I've seen a fair amount of the live action remakes
Yeah.
and enjoyed them.
Okay.
Well, I think
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the live action remakes very much annoy me.
I'm getting
to
a
be
little
honest.
sick of it, eh?
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna do like a couple movies here and there, but it's almost like every year now we're getting a new live action remake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Well, they've got
Cinderella,
heaps
you know,
slated.
Lion King and
Beauty and the Beast.
and the
Jungle
Beast.
Book and Beauty
Yeah,
and the Beast.
Beauty and, like Jungle Book.
I'm gonna
remember
say-
they got like
I think
critical
Jungle Book
acclaim.
is slightly different because it was basically still an animated movie, just like
It was just
CGI. I get.
Mm.
Well, I get. Yeah, they still technically call it live action. I mean, it's got one live action character in it.
Yeah.
And maybe they have leaves on set. I don't know. Some leaves.
Some leaves.
Although I think it's probably similar with Lion King. The approach to those movies feels different and it feels less Disneyified than the other live action ones.
Yeah.
Particularly because of John Favreau being behind it. He kind of knows what he's doing and he's passionate about it. And I trust him as a director
Yeah.
to know what he's doing and not just follow the Disney kind of brigade or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like he's got a little more passion behind it, is not just churning out, you know, for the sake of him money, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I have a different take on those.
I will say though that in regards to the live actions, because I think I saw a bit of Lion King, but I don't think I saw.
Lion King's not out yet. It
No,
comes
not
out
Lion
this
King.
year.
Jungle Book. Sorry, Jungle
Right,
Book.
right.
Yeah.
That I saw a little bit of. And then I've seen Beauty and the Beast, which was average.
Yeah.
Cinderella was
Yeah.
good though.
I
So-
thought
Okay.
I never saw Cinderella. I thought Beauty and the Beast was very boring.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think I was watching it. I was like, I've seen this movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I just got very
It's just like a carbon
frustrated.
copy,
Yeah.
eh? Because actually, what I liked about Jungle Book, it didn't feel like the same movie
Mm.
as the original. There
Yeah.
were, like, obviously way less songs. I think there might have been like one song in it.
Well, there's like the hint
Um,
at the "I want to be like you" song.
Yeah, maybe they didn't even have. I can't remember
Yeah, it's
entirely.
more like he's just kind of like saying it. It's not really song.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely
Yeah.
was a slightly different take. It wasn't just a copy. Whereas a lot of people are afraid that Lion King is going to be a copy because of the first trailer, which was like a copy of the original trailer, basically.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's going to be the case or not because there are new characters in it as well, I believe. Yeah. And my number 3 pick, Untitled Sony Pictures Animation,
Ooh.
coming out on
Hello.
July 24th. Now, this one I put in here. It's a little bit of a gamble because we don't know for sure what movie this is, but I think it's going to be an Into the Spider-Verse sequel or a Spider-Gwen movie.
Okay.
That's
not unreasonable to assume.
I still
Yeah.
need to see.
I could be
Spider-Man.
wrong
Oh
because
my
Sony
God.
Animation
Get it
does
together.
have other slots in that year, in next year, I mean. But I think July 2020 is a safe bet. July is a good good month for Spider-Man movies for sure.
Yeah.
Both Homecoming and Far From Home are in July, so
Mm-hmm.
let's repeat that next year as well. And if you don't remember or didn't hear me talking about it on the podcast previously, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is my favorite movie of last year, of 2018. Absolutely phenomenal film. So much, that you could say about
Yeah,
that movie, and
yeah,
I just can't wait to see another one.
Yeah.
You know?
No, to
I
be
just-
fair, like looking at 2018 movies, like that's definitely at least on like my top 5 or even
Sure.
top 3. Like
Yeah.
that is such a it's like it's when you just watch something, it's like, oh, is this like a perfect movie?
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah, I would say it is.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your
Alright.
turn. Number 3, Seb.
Number 3. Okay, probably Conjuring 3. Conjuring 3.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Conjuring 3, it's not being directed. I think it's James Wan who did 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's not being directed by him, unfortunately. It's this guy Michael Chavs, and he's got The Curse of La Llorona, I think is how you pronounce it.
Okay.
Not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but Conjuring 1. I remember watching that with a few friends, and that absolutely terrified me.
Right.
Going back in hindsight, it's not like the scariest movie ever, but Conjuring 2, I saw that with a friend in theaters, and it was a packed cinema. I was quite worried going into it because I was like, oh, people are going to be talking in the cinema, but it ended up just being one of my favorite cinema experiences of all time. It's like everyone was scared at the right moments. Everyone was like, kind of like people would say like, oh, what are you doing, when someone would go into a bad room, and people would laugh, but it was just such an immersive, like, fun experience.
Yeah.
And because of that, I just have like a real soft spot for the Conjuring movies.
Right.
Not so much the Annabelle movies, because those are kind of lacking in quality.
Okay.
But Conjuring movies are still a lot of fun. They're kind of cheesy, but I really love them. And I'm really excited to see if Conjuring 3 can be as good as how I feel about 1 and 2. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good to hear. Yeah, I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah.
But I've heard that they're kind of some of the best horror movies
Yeah.
out there.
They definitely give you some good scares.
I'm a wimp, so I remember
You're a wimp.
yeah.
I thought I was the one. I'm the one who's seen one horror movie in my lifetime.
Because there's a mate of mine, or like a couple of I was like with a group of friends, and they were gonna watch it, and I just left the room because I was like, I'm too scared, I can't do it.
No, I really love just like scary movies and
Yeah,
horror movies.
yeah, big horror fan.
Big horror fan. I love the way that, I think that's something where it's like,
There's definitely a lot of craft in horror films for sure. I think it's very,
because you know how like you actually get scared.
yeah,
And maybe like that's such an interesting concept of like something completely fictional is causing you fear, and it's causing you to not want to see something.
yeah.
Like it's not
For
real,
sure.
you know.
Yeah.
It's just not real. But there's something like, oh, I don't want to see that. It's too scary. Like,
yeah.
that's such an interesting like.
I think the interesting thing
know.
with horror films is the fact that it's very easy to make a bad horror film.
Oh no, there's like
For sure.
You know what I
there
mean?
is a
Like,
lot of bad horror movies.
like
yeah.
it's real easy to screw up a horror film, but if you
Yeah.
make a good horror film, like,
Mm. Yeah.
you know, you do very, very well.
Yeah. Did you guys see Hereditary this year?
No.
Because I think that would probably be designated as maybe my top film,
Okay.
2018. That movie was
Oh, yeah.
just,
Yeah.
like now when I watch horror movies, I'll get scared at the scary parts, you know, but then I'll go home and be like, oh, it was just a movie, whatever.
Right.
But Hereditary was like, I watched that, terrified me. And then when I was at home, I was still thinking about that. And I got that feeling when you're in the dark and you're like, you're scared of the dark. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, that really got me.
When you were little, did you ever like turn off the light of your room and then like race the light? Like,
Oh, yeah.
but,
No,
like,
of course.
run and then just dive into bed.
Yeah.
I used to run up the stairs.
Yeah,
I
like,
remember,
that's really common now,
because
you tell me.
behind me was like out the window into the darkness, basically,
Yeah.
and I would run up the stairs. I always thought there was like a skeleton out there for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
I think I had the thing of like, I checked my room to see, you know, if there's any ghouls there. And then I had to like close my door and keep it like 100% shut. Like I can't have it a little bit open.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
You know?
I could never do that. In general, I'm just such a door must be open or closed kind of guy.
Yeah.
When I was little, I couldn't sleep unless I had the door cracked open.
Cracked
Oh,
open.
cracked
Yeah, I
open a
had to
bit.
have it cracked open.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
I just thought like that's how the ghouls get you, because
Yeah.
like they can't open doors, obviously. So if you keep it
They
closed,
can just go through walls, can't they?
no doors, man. It's
Well,
doors.
speaking of ghouls, or whatever
Oi.
transition goes best with ghouls, to Top Gun 2.
Top Gun
What?
2.
That's my number 2 pick. Top Gun 2. Yeah, so Top Gun, the first one, obviously, like, what, 80s, 90s film? When did it come out? You wanna know?
I don't know. I haven't even seen Top Gun.
Yeah. it's a
Sounds
good
like
film. You should
80s.
watch it.
No,
Um,
90s.
Yeah,
I think it's 90s.
90s.
Okay.
Top Gun is a good film. I saw it a while ago. It's a goodie. It's a goodie. It's an oldie but a goodie. I know. It's just. I mean, in a similar vein to Avatar 2, I'm sort of interested where they go with it.
Yeah.
What I've heard is Tom Cruise obviously returning. because he was the main guy in it, and Miles Teller's playing the son of the guy who was the like friend with Tom Cruise's character.
They're like an Independence Day kind of thing, you know, where they they get the son.
Yeah.
Like a few years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's basically what we know. And I'm just interested to sort of see what they do with it.
Yeah.
Again, one of those things. I think it's always very interesting when you get a film and there's a long period of time between the first film and the sequel.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's good
Like
because
how
it
you
gives
do
me
that.
an excuse to finally watch Top Gun. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I guess I'm curious in that, like, how can they make that? Because the thing that's holding me off watching Top Gun is I just don't have much of an interest in it. Like,
yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah, I think, like, maybe it's like the planes, like, I just don't really get, the planes don't excite me.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know? Obviously, if it has, like, lots of tension, it has compelling characters and such. Like, I assume the first one does, because, you know, it's very, like, iconic.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's one of those like iconic films. So.
Sure, yeah. So, no, I'd be very interested in it, but, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say the same. I really like Tom Cruise and I love Miles Teller as well.
Yeah.
So, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you know who's directing it?
I do not.
Okay.
Michael Bay.
That might ruin everything.
I don't think. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Michael Bay's not directing.
Well, you know, like
I'm
they always
presuming.
with Michael Bay, it's like they always give him like franchises people want to be good, and then it turns out really bad. So give Michael Bay like a really terrible premise and see what he does with it, because
Yeah, that would be interesting.
it's like it's gonna be entertaining.
What
in
would
some
you
way.
pitch? Can you pitch like a sequel to a terrible movie that you think he should
Not
do?
even a sequel, just a
Or just
bad
Just like a
premise.
bad premise or something, or like a bad.
like what about what's that movie with the ridiculous premise? Is Armageddon? Is that the one where they have to go to space and
Oh, I'm pretty sure he directed that movie.
blow up a
did he?
planet?
Yeah, he directed.
Oh
that
man,
movie.
well he should make another one.
Yeah.
Armageddon
do-
Because
2.
isn't that the one where like they
Yes, man.
instead of training astronauts how to drill, they teach drillers how to be astronauts?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's perfect. Get him to do a prequel or a sequel to Armageddon.
Have a prequel that explains the reason why they couldn't teach
Yeah,
astronauts
and
to
like a-
drill.
A prequel where it's like a big conspiracy. You know how
Yeah.
they went to the moon in 1969,
Yeah.
and that was actually to save the world. And it's this big like, you know, no one knew that they saved the world. Something really ridiculous.
That's why he already did that in Transformers 3.
Yeah, perfect. So he's got some experience in that area. So something really
Expand on the
serious.
idea from that.
Yeah.
Well, is that my number 2 time?
Yes.
My number 2 is Untitled. Again.
I love how they're all untitled.
Untitled Christopher Nolan film.
All
And
right.
of course, I'm hella excited for this. An article from Hollywood Reporter a month ago says the project is described as an event film, like you said, Seb, but nothing else is known about Nolan's latest venture. The writer-director has a propensity for secrecy. I've heard that word before. Writing his scripts away from any prying eyes. And then a commenter said here, aka Warner Brothers is giving Nolan $200 million to do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah. Fair
pretty
enough.
much.
Because we have enough trust in him now that
Yeah.
we can do
And
that.
he's got a pretty good track record, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely. Yeah, honestly, every single one of his films, I love every single one of his films.
Yeah.
Nolan featured on both of our top 5 directors lists, I believe.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
So did Tarantino.
Yeah, and Tarantino
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, no, 100% anticipated for that. Have no clue what it is, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's bound to be good, surely. Or
Yeah.
maybe it's
Yeah.
just really terrible and Christopher Nolan, you know, it was a
I
big,
mean, that
it
does
has a big
happen
laugh.
to some filmmakers. They
Yeah.
just drop off.
Lose their mojo.
Mm.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, just judging from his last films, like,
Yeah.
I think even like Interstellar, I didn't enjoy that much, but
Okay.
I was still like, this is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It was a interest, like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I wouldn't go back to Interstellar, but I was like, man, I want to see more movies like this. Like, this is
Yeah.
a great idea. Yeah. Number 2 is The Witches, which is going to be a remake of the 90s film The Witches, and it's
Is this the witches with a plural, like the plural of witch?
so it's
Not
like
witchers.
no, The Witches.
Okay.
The Witches, yeah. So that's based off a book by Ronald Dahl.
Okay.
And how do I describe it? It's like a little boy and his grandma go to like a kind of like a getaway hotel, and they discover that there's like a bunch of witches that have like this own like secret society of witches, and they're planning to poison all of the Children of England or something, or Children of the World, yeah.
Okay.
And so yeah, as a child, that was quite a favorite book of mine, and that was because they made a movie in the 90s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just like one of those real like nostalgic movies for me.
Yeah,
Like when
for
someone puts
sure.
that on, it's like,
Was it
yes.
animated movie or?
No. So that's a live action,
Okay.
and they've got like a lot of practical effects. Like
Yeah.
there's a scene where, spoiler alert, all of the witches, they're all gonna open up candy stores around the entire world. They're gonna sell free candy,
Oh yeah.
and this candy is laced with a poison that turns you into a mouse.
That
And
seems
so
like it will work.
the kids get
Most
their
kids
candy.
flock to free candy,
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
they?
They
Yeah.
get the free candy. They
Wow.
eat it. They all turn into mice, and everyone wants to kill them because they're mice.
Ah.
And you don't know they're children. So, but at the end of the film, the witches will get spiked, like their super gets spiked, and they end up turning into the mice, and then that's how they defeat
Beautiful.
the witches. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just a big nostalgic movie for me.
Never heard of it, eh?
No,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good. Well, that's the interesting thing. It's one of those movies where I think if anyone want to watch it now, it's like, oh, this is just not good, but it's got a nostalgic feel for me, so I can't
Yeah.
not say it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And that's why I'd like to see a remake of it, because if you could actually make that into just a definitely genuine, enjoyable, and charming movie for everyone, because like it's quite a goofy premise as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be really exciting. They've got Robert Zemeckis, I think he's directing it.
Okay.
Oh really?
And he's proven to do some really great movies.
Yeah.
I think he still can direct. He did like The Walk.
Was that the one on like the Twin Towers?
Yeah.
Well, he did Back to the Future as well.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, just in the sense that like he's proved that he can still direct.
Oh, still
you know.
direct today.
Yeah.
Yes. Good point.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, just really excited to see what that movie turns out
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
That's
All
cool.
right. Do you guys have honorable mentions? Because
Yeah.
I don't have honorable
You don't?
mentions. Yeah.
I've actually got plenty.
All right.
Well, I don't have them either, so we can just listen to bands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. First one's Kingsman: The Great Game, which I believe is a prequel to Kingsman, although I haven't seen the second one yet. But I will do that.
I think if I had honorable mentions, that would definitely be on there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh yeah.
The second Godzilla movie comes out this year, which I will see. I've also not seen the Kong movie, but I will do that. Bond 25.
Oh, yeah.
I'll see this even if I haven't watched Spectre by then, because who cares, right? I've only seen Quantum of Solace. No, not Quantum of Solace. Casino Royale and Skyfall.
I'm actually in the same boat.
Really?
Yeah,
'Cause,
that's
I
the only
mean,
two I've
everyone
seen.
says Quantum
Yeah.
of Solace isn't that good. Everyone says the same thing about Spectre, so I just was never interested in watching it.
Sure.
But I'll watch
Yeah.
Because 25 should be Daniel Craig's last one, finally. They must have paid him a lot of money, but I assume they're going to go out with a bang, like, surely.
Yeah.
I reckon
you've mentioned
originally
so.
his last one was going to be Spectre, and then I reckon, like, the studio wanted his last movie to be good, so they're like, okay, let's do one more with him. Because there's also talk about like getting Idris Elba on to play Bond, which I would love.
well,
I'd
that-
love
yeah.
Chris
Yeah.
Nolan to direct a Bond movie as well. I'm sure he would love doing that.
Well,
as well.
I remember pitching this with mates, like the perfect what you could do with Bond, because they've done
Right.
like the serious Bond,
True.
and it's like people are kind of like maybe not sick of that, but it'd be great to take it in a new direction.
Yeah, we don't want to go too crazy. You don't want to
No,
go
you
like
don't-
Johnny English
you don't
style.
need
'Cause
to
that's
go
what
Johnny
Johnny
English.
English is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a funny Bond.
But I want to see like just embracing, like if you look at all those classic old James Bond movies, with all the gadgets and such.
Yeah,
like
true.
They don't
true.
even.
They're not
go
like
into-
corny enough. You mean? Yeah.
Yeah, like and what you could do with Idris Elba is
Yeah.
you could take it back to like the 70s or 80s, like put like a little like a period
That's
kind
a
of
good
feel
point.
in it, and with that you can have all these like little like gadgets and such,
True.
and it doesn't necessarily have to be 007. Maybe it can be another division of it, or
Well, I think
maybe.
it has to be 007. doesn't it?
Okay, sure. Okay, it's 007, but
Can't change a number just because he's black.
oh no, not in that sense. Just in the sense that
Oh, the
like,
period.
wouldn't James Bond like still be operating during that time?
Right, I see what you mean.
Yeah. No, okay, so he's still 007, but like just with that time period, that's where you could introduce the goofy gadgets, and it would just
Yeah.
feel a little more organic than
Yeah.
doing it in a modern setting and
Right.
having like, it's like the pen that can, I don't know, change the future. I can't think of a gadget. But yeah.
My next is a film called Onward from Pixar. It's their new original movie. Directed and written by Dan Scanlon, who wrote Monsters University, which was fine but not very amazing. But it also stars Chris Pratt and Tom Holland.
Okay.
So if it's not, I don't think it'll be bad necessarily. Pixar never makes anything like terrible. They would Cars 2. Apart from that, they've made films that aren't great. And that's the worst Onward could be. But I just am excited to see more original stories from Pixar, because we've had a long time of just basically only sequels. There was Inside Out and Coco, which were great originals. Good Dinosaur, which I've talked about on last episode of the podcast, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I think more original stuff allows for more creativity, I think, because that's what Pixar is. They're great at coming up with cool creative stories. And there's actually also an untitled Pixar animation coming out on June 19th, which I'm betting will either be a sequel to Monsters Inc., Finding Dory, or Ratatouille. Those are my guesses. I like it's definitely going to be a sequel. I think it's unlikely. Well, I mean, not definitely, but I think it's more likely to be a sequel, because they need at least something to bring in certainty of cash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think those are the three properties that could I think get sequels. It would be awesome to see a sequel to Ratatouille. I don't know what it would be about, but I know people would be like, that would be cool.
Just looking at like all of Pixar's old movies, that's probably the only one that has sequel opportunity.
Well, I mean, you could definitely do sequel for Finding Dory or Monsters Inc. Just because they're such popular franchises, and they've had sequels before, I know, but or prequel and
where you could turn
Monsters.
it, I guess you could turn it to a trilogy then.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Exactly, trilogy. And the last one's actually not coming out next year, but originally it was my number one pick, and that's Sherlock Holmes 3. But literally a couple days after we were supposed to record this podcast initially, the news was announced that it was delayed by an entire year.
Yeah.
So now it's coming out in 2021, December. So I had to keep that on the honorable mentions just because it was supposed to come out next year. Yeah, that's my honorable mentions.
All right. So my number one is A Quiet Place 2.
Is that coming out next year?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I have no idea where they're gonna go with it.
I haven't disclosed. I haven't seen the first movie, so
Yeah.
no spoilers.
So that should be interesting to sort of see where they go with it.
Didn't you say A Quiet Place was disappointing? Didn't you say that on the last podcast?
No.
We talked about it on the last podcast. Though.
Yeah,
Why
I
else
said
would we
it was
talk about
good.
it?
I was saying it was good. I was saying because it would have been in the watch.
Oh
You're
no,
Doing.
I said I wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
I was saying I
Yeah.
watched it in the Watch You're Doing segment.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So enjoyed the first one. I was like, oh, that's a cool premise, right?
Yeah.
And they did it well and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, where are they going to go with it, man? So that's my thing.
That's
I
potentially
wanna see it.
what worries me about a sequel is it's in the same hands, so surely it's going to have quality, but
it's also, I guess, when there's sequels, is it are they doing it for this? Are they doing it for the money, or are they doing it for the sake of the story? You know, I think that's a question whenever you get any sequel, because there's a fair amount of movies where they've made sequels, and the sequel wasn't really needed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
It was very much self-contained in that one film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought, just with Quiet Place, Quiet Place. It's kind of just what we were talking about before, Ben, with this kind of story. It could potentially have a really big franchise material, but instead it's just this small little, just this, because the story is essentially this dad and his daughter. You know how they have that rough relationship, and at the end it's fine resolved, and I think that story, if they can get something like that for the sequel, then great. But I kind of just picture this more action movie with A Quiet Place 2. Maybe it won't be that, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah. That movie, it definitely could be good, but it worries me. It worries me a little bit.
No, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool. My number one is a film called Stowaway, which is actually only a working title at the moment. It's not necessarily going to be the actual title. And it's written and co-written and directed by a man called Joe Penner, who you may also know as Mystery Guitar Man from YouTube. Do you know who that is? You not heard of, Seb's heard of him. You've never heard of Mystery Guitar Man?
I don't think so.
He's like one of the OG YouTubers.
Oh, really?
He was famous for making like stop motion music videos.
Ah.
So one of the first videos I watched was he played Flight of the Bumblebee.
Yeah.
Do you know what that song is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he took a photo and like played a chord, and then 30 seconds later he'd do another one, and so like it's time lapse of like the sun setting in as he plays it.
Oh, yeah.
So he does that kind of thing. He did a bunch of like cool stuff with like green screens and stuff. Like he was just like an awesome OG YouTuber who still recently has still put out some content. But he made a movie. He made a feature film that came out this year, or actually it premiered last year, but it's in cinemas right now in Auckland. Anyway, if you want to go see it, it's called Arctic, and I watched it yesterday, and I loved it. It stars Mads Mikkelsen, and he's in the Arctic, and it's like just a survival movie essentially.
Right.
And I think it's just a really great film, and I can't wait to see what Joe and Ryan, his co-writer and also editor, come up with for this new movie. So it's about like a mission to Mars where I don't think someone actually stows away. I think they like some accident occurs where someone else gets accidentally put on the flight on the rocket, I guess, to go to Mars.
Yeah. Do you mean in like a comedic sense? Like it's a
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah.
No, because Arctic's not comedy. No, I don't think it's meant to be a comedy. No,
Okay.
kind of like think like The Martian type. Because originally, funnily enough, his idea for Arctic was actually about a man on Mars surviving, and then his producer or someone said, "There's actually a movie called The Martian coming out soon. Maybe you want to change that." So they rewrote it to be in the Arctic,
Sure.
which I think serves as a great place for that story. Anyway, they haven't actually announced an actual official date, but I do believe it is coming out next year in 2020. Joe's really awesome. He's like active on Reddit as well. Like he would answer a question if you ask him, if he doesn't get flooded with messages, that is. So like it's just so awesome that someone can rise from YouTube as well and get to that point. So like I'm just so excited for the fact that he's in that position. I'm so excited to see what he can do.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys watch Rocket Jump?
Yes,
CW?
I do. Yeah.
I think what always annoyed me about that is that they could never like really get into like the Hollywood kind of scene, like never make like anything like really that big.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because that's why I always anticipate like, oh, these guys are so great. I can't wait until they're making like big movies that and everyone can appreciate them.
Yeah.
And that never really kicked off.
I guess they've just done a lot of web series stuff, which is still really high production value kind of stuff for a web series anyway. Yeah. I don't know, maybe Hollywood hasn't seen them or picked them out. I know at times maybe they've made complaints about Hollywood. I'm not sure what they've said exactly about Hollywood, but they've talked about it not being easy. For sure. I mean, because like Arctic's not a Hollywood movie; it's independently made. Yeah. So they could go that route, I'm sure, and I'm sure their fans would be willing to crowdfund as well, because they crowdfunded all their other shows, or at least VHS. So yeah.
Or at least like have a part in making them. Like just looking at their action sequences, they're all just executed so well.
Right.
Like what comes to mind, they once did like a promotional video for the Kingsland, and it was like an umbrella, like
Kingsman. Yes, yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Video? Yeah. And the action that is just executed like so perfectly. Like you can follow everything. It's like this is really well made action, and it's just made for YouTube. Yeah. And it's like there's people in Hollywood getting paid millions, and it's just like
I think for that they're great like film directors, and I think they have really great ideas and concepts. But I'll talk about this more later. Okay. Because, well, you'll find out where I'm going to talk about this. But I will talk about this more later in the podcast, actually, today. Right. We'll come back to that. I agree. I wish they could make feature films because they deserve it. It's also unfortunate that because after VHS, they started doing all the web series, they put less focus into that because that's what they want to do, which is understandable. But it means their YouTube numbers dropped way off the charts. They used to be 5th highest subscribed YouTube channel, I think. And, after VHS came out. Not because VHS was bad, because it was great. Although almost too early for its time, I think. Because it was kind of before e-gaming and esports was a big thing, I think. What is your number one then?
Okay, so yes, what I was getting at before is my top anticipated movie is actually Chaos Walking.
Yes.
Yeah. So, directed by Doug Liman. It has Tom Holland, Daisy Ridley. And so what that is that's based on a book series. And the book series itself is called Chaos Walking. Mm-hmm. This movie, I believe, is based on The Knife of Never Letting Go, which is the first novel in that book series. Yeah. Unless, of course, they maybe mesh the 3 books together or something. They do something like that.
I hope they wouldn't, right?
No, of
I mean,
course.
they probably wouldn't, because strategically you want the
You'd want a
ability to
franchise.
do sequels.
Yeah. But yeah, I really love that book series. It's a really great idea. Do you guys know anything about what it's about?
I have no idea what it's about. That's why it
Okay.
wasn't in my top 5, because I didn't really know anything. I guess I don't know anything about Chris Nolan or Spider-Man, but
Alright.
so,
So without
yeah.
spoiling anything, I'll give you like the premise, like what would be on
Sure.
the back of the book. So it's this town, and the town is populated only by men. It's populated only by men because years ago this virus broke out which killed all women.
Really?
Oh,
Okay. And what this virus did, it didn't kill men, but what it allowed is for all of men's thoughts to be vocalized to every other living being.
I've heard about this.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that's
And
what
so
it was.
there's this, like, you go and walk down the street and all you can hear in your head is just everyone's thoughts screaming at you.
Wow.
And it's the story that follows a boy and his dog. The boy is about to become a man. I guess he's
Right.
reaching that age in the town where you become a man.
Yeah.
It's like this kind of ritual they do, I guess.
Okay.
And he's walking in the forest with his dog, and there's normally, it's called the noise, like the loud, everyone screaming at you.
Yeah.
And he stumbles across this gap in the noise, and he's like, what is that? What is that sensation? So he follows it, and then he finds a girl.
Interesting.
And that is where I'll leave it, because there's lots of twists and
I'm
turns.
so
in the series.
intrigued. I mean, how are they even, like, audibly in a movie?
Yeah.
How's that going to be portrayed?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Because
why,
in a
that's
book,
why I'm
it's
so
like,
curious.
I heard
yeah.
this, and I heard this, and I heard some other voices.
Oh, well,
I
you know
guess,
what they do in the book? It's like when he goes into the town, like on the pages, it's just all of these scribbles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're just all over the book. It's quite clever. Yeah,
Oh,
you can
okay.
like look at all the thoughts and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really interested to see where they go with it. Like,
oh, that's so exciting.
exactly.
I think
That
that's
gets
gonna
me
be-
more excited
I
for
think
it
that's
now.
going to be really interesting how they do that. Like
Yeah, that
sound
effect,
design.
yeah.
and-
Yeah.
Maybe it would just be like audibly, like just screaming at you, and like
Yeah.
sometimes they give little snippets of what people are hearing, but it's just
Yeah.
really loud.
Yeah.
Does it, like, get quieter when you, like, go into an empty room or something?
Yeah, it's like the further away
Is it
you are from.
As if
the
they were
noise.
actually talking. Is it that kind of volume?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just so intrigued. Like, I really love
Yeah.
that. That's a really good book series to watch as well. Oh, to read.
If only I had the brain capacity to read.
Yeah.
Oh, you listen on Audibles.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtags
Sponsor us,
sponsor us,
please.
So that's my movie.
Nice.
All right. Well,
Man, I told you it would take longer with three of
Yeah.
us, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because we're now still coming on the next topic, which again Sebastian came up with. Do you want to introduce it?
All right. Oh, well, it's not the most original ideas, I guess. But Fantastic Four has been switched over to Marvel. Or like the deal's going through.
Yeah, it's going
you know?
through. It's going through.
But it's pretty much confirmed,
Yeah.
I guess. And obviously they're going to end up doing a Fantastic Four reboot.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not?
I imagine they'll do it before they do X-Men.
Yeah.
Because X-Men's more fresh in people's minds. I mean, there's still an X-Men movie coming out this year and next year, right? Isn't New Mutants coming out next year? Or is that this year?
What is going on with New Mutants?
I don't know.
They might just
I don't.
just burn that movie. No one watch it ever.
Surely they'll release. I mean, they have to release it. Surely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's
I don't
so
know.
strange. Like how they push that back, and now
Yeah.
there's just no word on what's going on with that movie.
I like the whole Dark Phoenix thing as well is also like a bit of a meme for me because like they released it like the first trailer and like a couple of days later they announced that it was delayed by 6 months or something. I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
man.
and yeah, I think
keep
it's
hearing
hilarious.
things like about how like they're doing test screenings for Dark Phoenix. It's like the worst movie or something. I
Yeah,
don't
because
know.
I heard what podcast was I listening to where someone had like an industry insight? No, I think it was the Cult Popture podcast that I listened to.
Alright.
Someone had an industry insight saying that there is a movie coming out this year that is like going to be completely horrendously terrible that you'll be so surprised that it even exists.
Oh,
And I think they placed bets on it being like Dark Phoenix is probably going to be the one.
okay.
Because like it's seriously like everything that could have gone wrong with a movie has gone wrong with this movie, and like just
Well, like presumably, like we haven't seen it yet.
I suppose,
yeah,
but like, what are the odds that turns out to be an even like okay good movie? Like,
Yeah. Well, that's like with maybe like they're reshooting it a bunch of times just to make it
yeah.
like something that isn't a complete train wreck. You know, like
But I mean, every movie we've seen that happen with Suicide Squad, with the Josh Trank Fantastic Four movie as well.
Yeah.
they've done reshoots to try and make it better, and it's always been still bad, if not worse than what the original idea would have been, honestly. Because, like, with Suicide Squad, you can tell they wanted it to be a dark movie initially with that first trailer. That's what got me excited for that movie.
Yeah.
And then they saw Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, no, we're going to make this fun and light and put cool music and Queen in it and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and I reckon the original take on that movie could have been better. And that's what I hope James Gunn will do with it as well. But we're getting way off topic.
Anyways.
What are we talking about?
We're doing a Fantastic Four. They're doing the remake. Who would you recast as the Fantastic
Now,
Four?
how do you want to do this? Do you want to do, like, we each say the 4, or we go one at a time per character?
Let's just do our characters. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll start with Mr. Fantastic, I assume.
I got a
preface.
full disclosure.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the Fantastic Four films.
Okay,
so
fair enough. They're not the
I
they're not the
literally
best,
just like searched the characters up
Yeah.
and then like worked out what type of character it is. So my picks are going to be very, very interesting. So it should be interesting.
Do you have multiple picks, or do you have a single pick?
I've rushed it.
I've got like a top pick, and then other like these could also work.
Okay.
Cool.
Maybe. Go ahead.
So Mr. Fantastic, I cast Nicholas Hoult.
Okay.
Is he?
He's an X-Men.
Yeah,
He's playing
okay.
Tolkien this year.
Yeah.
Most known for a British TV series called Skins, which is actually a really good series. I sort of cast him, and now here's a problem, right? Because I did this list like 2 weeks, like longer than that, like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I've forgotten my reason. I think it was sort of like I looked at the description of the character and then sort of tried to think of an actor who sort of fit it as much as possible. And sort of the like thing of Mr. Fantastic that I saw was like a guy, like a sort of scientist, nerdy, scrawny looking dude, like tall and scrawny.
Yeah.
I was like, Nicholas Holt's pretty tall and scrawny.
Yeah.
So that was why I picked Nicholas Hoult.
Okay. And my first pick is Daniel Radcliffe.
Okay.
Reed Richards.
Yeah, because I also think it could be cool to do a bit more of a comedic take on the Fantastic Four as well. At least give actors that can be comedic.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Because Daniel Radcliffe, if you've seen him in
Swiss Army.
Swiss Army Man, I guess, I think is probably his most notable.
Even just some of like the later Harry Potter movies, he seems quite witty.
But also, if you've seen a still from Guns Akimbo, which is a movie coming out this year with Daniel Radcliffe, which is shot in Auckland or Wellington.
Yeah, mate, I can't
remember which city it was.
I saw him on Queen
But
Street.
he just looks... Oh, you literally saw him?
Yeah, I literally saw him.
Really?
I was walking to work and they're just like filming, It wasn't on Queen Street, it was
Wow.
like kind of like a street.
Was this recently?
Street. No, this was last year.
Last year,
So they filmed it last year. And it's just Daniel Radcliffe. There was like a big crowd at that point.
Yeah.
Accumulated.
Yeah,
This is just this like the one still that exists on the internet is him with these guns out, and his face just looks like incredibly hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I reckon obviously that movie will be quite funny. I think so. Someone who can be comedic, I think, will be cool. So that's why I picked Daniel Radcliffe. What do you got?
Yeah, I definitely didn't go with the young approach.
Okay.
My pick for Reed Richards is actually George Clooney.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
I don't think he would do this movie.
Yeah.
Probably. But I don't know. I think I'm just trying to think of like what I want to see in the Marvel universe at this point.
Okay.
And we've had like, I don't know. We haven't had someone who's just like really, you know how Tony Stark is quite witty.
Yeah.
You know. I think like George Clooney could just be like just quite sophisticated and held back. But I know that George Clooney can kind of like, he can look quite manic at times. I feel like Reed Richards potentially could be in that state. I don't know. I think I just want to see Reed Richards as old and like not really on the field as much as the other three maybe.
Yeah.
And he only uses his powers sometimes. You know, just something like that.
I can't see George Clooney with long stretchy arms. That's what I can't see.
Well, like that's why I was also trying to think like who could I see doing the stretchy power, and I think it's just such a ridiculous thing to see.
I guess it doesn't
work
work on anyone who's not already tall and lean.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I wanted his powers to be restricted. Like maybe he doesn't even use them that much. He just uses them when he's like doing research and he needs to stretch his arm and grab something.
True.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that being an interesting take for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So Storm.
Yeah, Susan Storm, aka the Invisible Woman.
How do you describe? I'm trying to remember the character description.
Imagine someone like quite sophisticated and just like just strong presence in a room. Like
She can
Yeah.
turn invisible.
She can
Yeah.
turn. She can definitely turn.
So
invisible.
That
I
make force
put
fields.
She has force fields.
I put Zendaya as my
Ah.
Storm.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Because also here was my reasoning as well. I was like, I want to like diverse the cast a little bit
That's a really good.
Okay.
rather than like 4 white people, right?
Yeah. No. Fair enough. Yep.
So I was
Wait,
like,
who is your Reed Richards?
Nick Holt, who's white.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
fine.
No, I was thinking of the age gap. I mean.
Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah, I've got quite an age gap.
Oh, okay. Because the two are married, or they get married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know. I was looking at that as well, and I was
Yeah.
like, I think it works. I think
Was
we
Yeah.
it?
can get
Is
away with
Zendaya though?
So she's in the Spider-Man franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Marvel universe. So I mean,
Yeah.
you could assume that the Fantastic Four might not be in the Marvel universe, but I assume it
Okay.
is going to be.
Yeah.
Did you know that when you?
I know.
Okay,
Okay.
because you haven't seen Spider-Man because you're a chump.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Well, I
assuming
have
it's
seen
its,
Spider-Man.
Oh, really? Okay.
but like
Yeah.
So you
it's its
didn't-
own separate thing. You don't have to
yeah.
MCU it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I was
sort of-
assuming it could be just on its own if it had to
Okay.
be, but
Yeah.
I would also love it to be in the MCU.
Yeah. I mean, important thing to remember with me is I'm very much less into
Yeah, we know.
the MCU.
Go listen to the last podcast if you want to hear.
It was
Big
just,
takedown.
Huge. Wasn't really a takedown.
Yes, it
though.
was.
My response was just like, I don't care.
No, your response was, "Oh, actually, I think you're right,"
No.
but I also don't care.
My
Moving on.
response was mainly,
So-
I don't care.
So why do you
Anyway.
We don't need to talk about this in
Zendaya?
every
Yeah, why do you think
podcast.
Yeah, so Zendaya was basically my pick for Storm.
My top pick for Invisible Woman was Ellen Page, who I think could suit that character for sure. I just don't know about the dynamic, if she would have chemistry with Dan Radcliffe or not. I mean, I didn't really think too much about the relationship side of it. I more thought about the character herself and what she would be and what she could bring to that role.
Yep.
And I just think she's a cool up-and-coming actress. I guess she's not even up-and-coming anymore. She's quite well-established now. I haven't actually watched Umbrella Academy, which she's in. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe like 3 episodes. Yeah.
Is she good in that?
Oh, yeah. She's definitely. I just don't
Okay.
really enjoy the series. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
But
Right.
I think she's good at it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, just seems like... And again, I'm going with the young side, so it could be cool to see her in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I remember like all like the speculation about
Mhm.
who was going to be Invisible Woman and Miss Fantastic is it's Emily Blunt and it's John Krantz.
John Krasinski.
Yeah. So that was like the pick.
Okay.
And I was like, like John Krasinski. Okay, I don't see him too much as Mr. Fantastic,
I
but I
would-
definitely see her as
Yeah,
Invisible Woman.
that's a good pick.
Yeah.
I would almost say he could be a Johnny Storm.
Yeah,
He could
yeah,
be, he
like,
could be his
yeah.
wife's brother,
Yeah.
right?
But no, like I just remember like Edge of Tomorrow. Like I really love her in Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
I was like, man, she would make a great
you're right.
Yeah.
That is a really good pick.
Sue Storm. Yeah, that's all I have to really go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely didn't think of it from the point of as you said, like chemistry.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the real only way you
You
can
know,
test
Emily Blunt could be with
chemistry
George
is
Clooney, I
through
think, like.
chemistry tests. It's sort
Yeah.
of only.
Yeah, you get a couple test tubes, you put some different chemicals in there.
Oh, hilarious.
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah. So next up, Human Torch.
Mm-hmm.
How would we describe Human Torch?
I just
Like-
wires cracking, like
Yeah,
kind of a
wisecracking and kind of
nuisance.
like impulsive, would you say?
He's definitely like a little bit arrogant, like
Right.
maybe impulsive,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
but yeah, just like a kid in an adult, like a teenage
kid in an adult's
well,
body,
you know,
you
like
mean?
a teenage attitude of like, I don't
Yeah.
really care, like
Yeah.
I want to be
Carefree,
cool,
careless,
you know.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Living on the edge.
So my pick, I think this is gonna cause some eyebrows to raise. Is Noah Centineo.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, so he's most known for a TV series called The Fosters,
Okay.
as well as he was in To All the Boys I've Loved Before and Sarah Burgess is a Loser
Okay.
as well.
One of those you really liked and one of them you didn't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so like he's a good actor, right? But Sarah Burgess is a loser. It was bad. I mentioned it before because of
Yeah.
the script. It
Wait,
wasn't
is it
fault.
the main guy in the Sarah Burgess movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
He's
so I know. Who
So
you're
he's
talking
the
about.
main.
Alright,
Yeah, he's the main guy in Sarah Burgess. He's also the main guy in.
So he's
To All
quite
the
young.
Boys
He's
I've-
like a teenager,
Yeah.
or 20s maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, probably like early 20s or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I almost forgot that I cast this guy. But Human Torch, I picked Tony Revolori. who is in the Spider-Man movie as well. So they're going against universe. So obviously, if they make these movies in the MCU, it can't be him. But if I was casting an outside of the universe movie, this is my pick. I think he's hilarious, and I think he can play that character that's kind of like on his feet, I guess, and like being sporadic, like I would say Human Torch is. I reckon he'd just be I reckon he'd be real good.
Yeah, no.
And it's good that he's a bit younger than my other picks, I think, because I think Johnny is literally a little bit younger, because I think he's younger than Susan, right?
Yeah, like
it makes sense because she's kind of a more mature sister, like,
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
No, and he's definitely in those Spider-Man movies as well. Like, he has that kind of,
Imagine if Flash Thompson just became the Human Torch in the MCU, because they're like, oh, we need to cast Tony, but he's already in this movie. Oh, let's just change the character. He just becomes Human Torch. That'd be quite funny. And then he initially he's like rivals with Spider-Man or something. I don't know. That'd be quite funny.
Oh, that'd be perfect, honestly, because that's like how it kind of is in the comics. I think like Human Torch and Spider-Man are a bit like ahead sometimes.
Oh, that would be quite funny.
That would really work. Yeah, that'd be quite fun. I think I'd like to see this done well, and so that's Johnny Storm as Chris Evans. So
again,
yes, because in that movie, I think that's something really great about those first two movies is him as Johnny Storm. Like, he really pulls off that character, and I imagine how they're tying in the whole MCU thing is maybe like alternate dimensions and stuff, like a multiverse type thing.
Okay.
And so you bring over this Chris Evans that looks the exact same, and so then you just have some great little like character moments, like like a double take of like, but you're Captain America, purely for those moments of comedy.
Yeah,
I want him to be.
I do think Chris is kind of like he's done in front of the camera though.
Yeah, sure.
He has said years ago he wants to move on to be behind the camera.
Yeah, no, this is not going to happen.
Right. So lastly, we have The Thing.
Do you know his name?
No, I don't know any of them.
Is it Ben Grimm?
Ben. I don't know his last name. I know his name is Ben.
So basically, when I read the description, I basically read Big Jock, right?
Okay.
Was basically the gist I got from it.
Sure.
Right. And I thought, who better than Channing Tatum?
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, who's the?
Although for the majority of the movie, it's basically just going to be motion capture, isn't it?
Yeah, I doubt they go with the big rubber suit.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point, but I'll bring it up when I talk about my pick. But go on.
I know. I think. I mean, even if we're going for a comedic thing, Channing Tatum's proven that he can do comedic stuff.
Yep.
You can definitely do like emotional roles as well. Yeah. And you want that with like, because the Thing is quite a tragic story as well. It's like you've turned into an abomination of a thing, and you're a thing. Like you're referred to as the Thing.
Yeah.
Like that's really sad.
Yeah.
So if you can do the drama,
that's a good point.
Yeah. No, I reckon Channing Tatum could pull that off.
He's literally called the Thing.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
People call me the Thing.
Do you reckon, like, in today's PC world, they would change his name?
No.
No.
The unusual looking man.
The big pile of rock.
But no, good pick. Yeah.
I actually thought I would try and make his human version of him, I guess, before he becomes a thing, like a more ironic take on him. So I've gone for Michael Cera. Because I think his personality could work so well as like being this like scrawny little kid who's like trying to make his way in the world, I guess, and then becomes this massive thing, right?
Yeah.
And like dealing with that, I think I've gone comedic, so like I think he could bring a lot to that role and be really funny as well, and maybe would be a more light tone, maybe not as emotional like you were talking about, but he probably can do emotional if he needs to as well.
Have you seen that meme saying that Michael Cera looks like he accidentally walked onto a film set one day and then they like forced him to act?
Really?
Mistook him for someone, forced him to act, and now he's just got this career.
Okay.
He's just going with it.
No,
I really love Michael Cera, and like that's such a funny take. Like, also like the idea of just like someone who's never had power before, and now they're very clumsy. With, like, being quite huge, and like they accidentally like, I don't know, just knock something over.
A little bit like Bumblebee in the Bumblebee movie.
Right, yeah.
He's kind of like unfamiliar with his surroundings, I guess, and being like, I guess, because Bumblebee, like in the house, I mean, I'm specifically talking about that scene where he's too big, but he doesn't realize he's too big, and he's So that kind of thing.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
could be- yeah.
No, I like that. I've gone with Mark Wahlberg. Yes. So
Okay.
he's just kind of he's definitely gone for like kind of like a big guy,
Mhm.
jock. Definitely fits like that description in the comics.
Right.
But Mark Wahlberg's also like quite an attractive person. Like I guess like a conventionally
True.
attractive person.
Yeah.
And I wanted to pick someone that's like I guess
How they're going from attractive to ugly.
or like conventionally attractive, conventionally
Yes.
ugly.
Yeah.
And dealing with that, and it's like, oh, I don't want to look in the mirror, and like trying to like look past
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like just add
That's
that
a
to his
really
character.
good idea. I hadn't really thought about that
I
kind of
always
side of it.
thought it was really sad, especially in the first movie, where it's just like this pretty alright guy. He's just like, he's just a nice guy.
Yeah.
And then this complete tragedy happens to him, and it's like, what did he learn from that? Like,
yeah.
it's just really sad. So I'd love for him to be maybe like a little bit arrogant. Maybe he's not such a great guy before he becomes a thing, and then so when he becomes a thing, it'd be like that Beauty and the Beast dynamic.
Yeah,
of
character.
like,
Yeah.
when the prince becomes the beast, and he's like, oh, I'm all hideous, and then he learns to become a better person because of
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Just something like that. Like just so it's not. I guess like the complete tragedy is a nice take as well, but like
Yeah.
I want more. Yeah, just like a character thing. Yeah, I imagine like the thing like would get like can get like angry. I guess.
Yeah.
I always pictured that like a quite like I don't know, angry.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
And I just think of like Pain and Gain.
Yeah.
Mark
Right,
Wahlberg.
okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. That's my
Cool.
pick. Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. My other mentions I had were James Franco, who I think would be quite funny in that
Yeah,
role as well, and also Jonah Hill, who I think both could work in that kind of role.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's
That's our recasted picks for Fantastic Four.
Yeah. You should let us know in the comments who you would pick, or if you would agree with any of our picks, because there's quite a diverse range in there.
Very
isn't
diverse range of
there?
Yeah.
interpretations there.
Yeah.
I guess at the end of the day, it's like it depends where you want to go with it.
Oh,
Because
for sure.
if you went for like the family dynamic as well, you'd have to completely change
Yeah.
that
True,
to
yeah.
like they all have chemistry they bounce off.
Yeah,
another.
that's
Yeah.
obviously a really hard thing
Yeah.
to have to try and cast for as well. So,
Mm.
but yeah, I wish the best of luck to whoever is in charge of making
it's
that
gonna
series
be really
happen.
hard. Really hard.
Yeah. But anyway, time to move on to our next segment of the show, which is,
What you doing?
and of course, this is What You're Doing, the segment where we talk about what we've been doing and what we are gonna do.
All right.
/ read and watch and all that jazz. Do you want to start us off? What have you been watching and doing?
So what I've been doing, I've started working. I've been working for like 6 weeks or so now.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
over a month. So that's been fun. Just like ingesting and syncing up footage and that.
Yeah.
Which is like it's really interesting actually, like, getting into the mix of it and finding out about the industry a little
True.
bit more and such.
Yeah.
So that's been really fun. In terms of like what I've been watching, I just watched The Haunting of Hill House.
Okay.
Have you guys heard of that?
I've
It's
heard of
like
it.
a
I haven't
Netflix.
watched it.
Netflix
Yeah, it's a
original, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just that is
You
phenomenal.
love horror though, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but
yeah.
like even like if you didn't love horror, like that's
Okay.
just a really great drama series as well.
Cool. Interesting.
And also, I guess like what would you say like what I anticipate?
Yes. Well, you
Okay.
anticipate upcoming quite, relatively soon.
Sure. So
Yeah.
100% Us by
Oh,
Jordan
Yes.
of
Peele.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that movie, man. Like loved Get Out.
Mhm.
Seen it like countless
I've
times.
seen Get Out. Yeah.
And like I'm really intrigued. I think he's nailed it. Just seeing like from early, like I haven't seen any early reviews, but I've heard it's
Right.
like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes kind of thing.
Mm.
I don't know exactly what that says because you can't trust 100%.
100% doesn't mean much in the first couple of weeks.
Sure,
Or in the
yeah.
first week before it's a release worldwide kind
Yeah.
of thing.
But it's a good sign.
yeah,
you
it's,
know.
it's definitely a
It's
good
telling
sign
you
for
like
sure.
it's gonna be something quality.
Yeah.
But regardless, I'm going in with no expectations kind of thing.
Yeah.
But just looking at the trailer, very intriguing premise. Have no clue what. Have you guys seen the trailer? Like,
I didn't watch it.
Oh,
I
I've
prefer
seen the
not
trailer.
to know as much as I can, basically.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, do you mind me saying like?
Oh, you
what-
can say what happens in the trailer if you want. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's just basically like there's like doppelgangers,
Right.
And I think just what's intriguing about it is like what does this mean? Like,
Okay.
it's like, are they clones? Are they aliens?
I see.
Will they never explain what is the doppelganger?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. Interesting.
yeah, what does this mean? And I got a bit of that with Get Out upon watching the trailer. I was like, oh, what is this?
Right.
What
Yeah.
is the, like, what happens in this movie?
Yeah.
And then watching it, it's like, oh, like,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
the revelation.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that happens the same with this movie. Like, I
Okay.
watched the trailer, like, what is this about?
Yeah.
I watched the movie, it's like, oh, that's what it was
Yeah.
about.
Right.
You know?
For sure.
Yeah, so
Alright.
that's me. Yeah.
Am I up? All right. So I have. What have I been watching? Ah, yes. So I watched. So I still have that giant list of films that I'm trying to get through. And I keep taking breaks from it and then doing it like because life gets in the way, right?
Yeah, sure.
So though luckily I managed to get my shit together and watched 2 films on that list. 2 very different films, funnily enough. All right. So the first one was Battleship Potemkin.
Oh, wow.
Which is a 1925
Yeah.
Oh,
Russian silent film.
It's got music, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting sort of seeing like that style of film, especially from being like, a modern audience. Well, just
Yeah.
me, but
Yeah,
it was intriguing definitely to see it and sort of, because the Odysseus steps sequence is
Yes.
sort of like the most
Yeah. I mean, I remember showing that sequence in film school last
yeah.
year, and I just remember like feeling like, wow, like I'm like feeling such emotion for this scene
Yeah.
where I know no context,
Yeah.
and it's from the 1920s,
Yeah,
like, I never like expected to feel that
Yeah.
for such
for sure.
a thing, and I was like, wow, this is wow. Like I was just surprised at how good
Yeah.
the filmmaking was, like the
Yeah.
visual storytelling in that
Yeah.
scene.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, so seeing that sequence and actually
sure.
putting that after seeing that sequence
Yeah.
out of sequence, I guess.
Yeah.
Sort of putting that into perspective was
Yeah.
really interesting. Like it's surprised, like because being someone who sort of when they watch films, the main thing they look at is dialogue.
Yeah. Right.
That was sort of obviously missing because
True.
it's a silent film.
Do they have title cards with dialogue?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all in Russian though, so and I couldn't find it.
You didn't have subtitles?
No, I didn't have
Oh, man.
subtitles. But I was like, I sort of went in being like, because I think that's also an interesting challenge as well with a film that's a foreign language, right?
Sure.
Because if you can watch a film that's not in your language and still grasp what
Yeah.
the hell's happening,
Yeah.
then that's like a pure sign that the filmmakers have done their job, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so I sort of went in with that being like, okay, am I going to be able to work out? And I pretty much could for the majority of the film. So it was really interesting. Really interesting film. Surprised me, basically, with how much I enjoyed it. Because I sort of went in being like, it's a 1925 German silent film.
Yeah.
That was sort of my expectations going in. And I was like, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
The other film that I saw was If Beale Street Could Talk.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, what were your thoughts?
Because I saw, funnily enough, I saw that Ben had seen it on Letterboxd.
Uh-huh. Letterboxd.com/
Letterboxd.
I don't actually know what the URL is, but the real close is my username. So
Yeah.
go check it out.
And mine's Matt _5. So cheeky plug there.
Mm.
Yeah. So like, and I saw that you'd watched it, and
Uh-huh.
I immediately X'd out of it because I was like, because like,
you didn't wanna read?
I didn't want to read.
I don't
it.
write spoilers, but
Yeah. But I was
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
again, it's the whole thing of wanting to go into a film.
yes,
blind,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
true.
100%.
So yeah, so I went in blind. How I thought about it was really interesting because I felt like yes, there was moments in it which were a bit boring. You know what I mean?
Did you read
Like,
my
a bit
review
slow.
afterwards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did agree with that point.
Okay. Yeah.
However, I also it's weird because I really liked the production design and the like the color palette. I thought it was really
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was weird because I wish I had a better word to describe the film, right? But it felt light is like the only
Visually.
like visually and emotionally, even though it was
Okay.
about quite heavy subject matter.
Okay. Yeah.
But it still felt really light, and it was weird. You know, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Sort of that approach.
Right.
Because I've seen Moonlight, which
Yeah.
was Jenkins' first film, I believe.
Yeah.
And loved Moonlight. Also, funnily enough, felt at some moments that it was a bit
Right.
slow in
Yeah,
some
yeah.
moments. But it was still a really good film. So definitely, I'd recommend it. It
Bill
was
Street or Moonlight?
Both.
Okay. Right.
I'd recommend both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
definitely.
interesting that I have quite a different opinion on that. I guess like
Yeah.
I found it. What cinema did you see it in?
I didn't see it in a cinema.
Well,
Sorry.
that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping it wasn't just the projection that I was watching, because I was in a decent cinema, I thought, but it looked really flat, not flat, but like I said in the review, it looked like it had a really low dynamic range in the cinematography. So
Yeah.
like backlights were blown out, and like it was just when there was like strong backlight and like a bit of a flare, like it was hard to see properly.
Yeah.
And it looked visually off-putting to me.
Yeah.
So that was a huge thing for me that kind of distracted me from the movie.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, like I said, it felt just like things just happened and not progressed that much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I felt. I just felt like I'd heard lots of hyped up things about it. Like I like the story and I like the characters, but they just kind of don't do much.
Yeah.
It's just like, and it drags on. Like
Yeah.
that movie could have been an hour with what happened in that movie. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like, I guess like you could say it's just like a slice of life, but it just wasn't interesting enough for me anyway.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
other people would really like that. I understand other people with different kind of point of views on that. So yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, film's an art form, right?
Yeah, of course.
And
I'm not surprised people like it because there are a lot of beautiful things in it, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting though that we both saw the same movie and went and had quite different. And then the other thing was just doing a bunch of, because I had watched a bunch of my films, but I hadn't on my list, but I hadn't done the reviews.
Right.
So I just copied a bunch of reviews from Facebook,
True.
and then also wrote them up as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, and then what I want to watch, you can see what I want to watch on my Letterboxd account.
You still have to tell us. It's still part of the podcast, Matt.
It's Matt _5. I can't remember any. Boy Raced.
When does that come out?
This one? I don't know.
I'm sure there's a date. You've talked about this too many times to not know the date.
And it was like March or something. And then like I looked again, and then apparently there was like some fundraising thing.
Okay.
But that was in February, so I missed it.
Oh.
And then I was looking for it, and then there was no time showing up at any of the cinemas, and now I'm very mad.
Okay.
I'm gonna pay money.
You should download the Flix app. That's really handy, I've found. Especially for movies that aren't in a lot of theaters. Yeah. So it's really good for telling you, it's here and here and here, so I can go there and see it. Yeah, that's all you've got?
Yeah, and a bunch of other films that I can't remember.
Cool.
Yeah.
All good.
I need to watch more movies.
Absolutely. I've been trying to do that, and so I've seen a few movies this past couple weeks. Obviously, Captain Marvel was the first one. Huge film. I assume you saw it as well, right?
Yes, I did
You
see
haven't,
this movie.
because you're a snub.
So I don't care.
Gotta get into MCU, man.
Yeah, what did you think of it, Seb?
No, it was definitely good.
Yeah.
A lot of moments in that, I was like, man, this is like creative. That movie, the moment where she like finally gets like full access to her powers, I was like, like the music in that was actually like, this is giving me a feeling, you know? Where do I criticize that movie? I think like it definitely could have been something like great, and instead it was good, which was annoying for me.
Right.
What else? It was like maybe like a little bit too much 90s nostalgia.
Yeah,
like
I can see that.
Fully like went into that, you know, they go into that room up in the spaceship and it's just full of like little like 90s things.
Yeah.
And one of the characters gets knocked into a jukebox and it plays like that 90s song.
Yeah.
At that point in the movie, I didn't really want that like light song. I wanted, you know, and then maybe kind of like the you know, like at the end she's kind of just like bashing into spaceships and destroying them. Yeah, like I think that's kind of like uncompelling action. It's kind of you know, like at the end of Thor Ragnarok where he gets his full access to his powers and he's just bashing for. I don't really love watching that.
That's interesting.
It's, you know, it's just big CGI like you know, it's a lot more fun when it's just kind of, I don't know, more close combat. I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Captain Marvel's kind of like not a close combat character, is she?
Yeah. Which is Well, like when she's like in that room though, and
I guess like, so. Maybe she's a bit of both, but like she's really strong far away as well.
Yeah,
like,
100%. Yeah. So maybe I would have just preferred like the climax of that is just her in a room fighting on that kind of scale.
Okay.
Instead of like her just like
they kind of had to show what she could do though, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah. I personally love the movie. I I think it's one of their best origin movies for sure, if not the best origin movie they've done.
Yep.
Because I thought the way the story was told,
Yep.
Specifically with the way it was edited, the back and forth kind of thing, and the way they made those cuts, I found really compelling.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually said when the first trailer came out that it's one of the most well-cut trailers I think I've seen. And they kind of use the same kind of imagery in the film itself as well, which I love. Yeah, and I love the way that we kind of were on that journey with her, discovering who she was kind of thing.
Cool.
I really, really loved it. There's one thing I really, really hate about it. It's such a tiny little nitpick, but it so bugs me so much. And that is that in a scene where she's basically in this room where the things around her, things appear around her that she's familiar with. It kind of like is a room that forms, it's like inside your consciousness. It kind of like forms and so it becomes things that you're familiar with.
Right.
Yep.
If you know what I mean.
Okay.
They played a Nirvana song that came out. The song "Come As You Are," which came out in 1991. But Carol Danvers could not have known that song and could not have been familiar with it unless she had it on repeat for the last week or so that she was on Earth. But I don't think that's the case. Even then, it wouldn't be this type of song you'd expect to play in that moment.
Yeah.
Because she's been absent from Earth since 1989. Same year as Peter Quill left Earth as well.
Yeah, very good.
Fun fact. So she could not know that song, and how do they not do the research on that? Like, they just picked a famous 90s song that they think was kind of ironic, really. Like, comes you out the way the song is. I think it's kind of corny, I guess, in the way it's placed. I think it's unnecessary,
song,
and they could have played a great. I'm not saying it's a bad song, but the way it's used is completely wrong and unnecessary and in the wrong place.
Yeah.
I think they should have chosen a great 80s or 70s song. I understand they don't want to revisit the Guardians soundtrack vibe too much, and they were in the 90s, so let's play 90s music. But that scene doesn't make sense to play any 90s music. It doesn't, because she doesn't know 90s music, so it doesn't make sense.
No,
That's what I hate. I have to run.
The car ride, Ben. She had it on the car ride.
It's not the kind of song that she would like. That would become part of her identity and would play in that room in that scene.
I know what you mean.
So, yeah. But I loved everything else about the movie, including Sam Jackson's de-aging and his performance. I loved.
That was I thought like on Agent Coulson.
I could not tell that he was not from
Agent Coulson,
not 90s.
There was like a few moments.
I could see Agent Coulson a bit. Yeah.
But yeah, no, 100%. That CGI is really like creepily good.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I honestly, it looks like they invented time travel and went back and got him from the 90s just to play him.
I also really love that scene. It's like kind of the whole thing, when they're scrubbing through her memories.
Yeah.
That was just like really well done. Like kind of the voiceover, and they're just like looking at different things.
Exactly. Like I was, and the way they told that,
Yeah, and then also she gets out, and then there's that fight scene there. Like,
that's
I really love that
great scene
as well.
Yeah.
I think I'm just more into close combat stuff than.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah. Matt's sitting here just so unentertained. And then that's all I kind of have to say on that. I'm really, really excited for Endgame for sure.
Oh man!
Absolutely. I don't want to say too much. I didn't watch the new trailer. I watched the first trailer for the first time when I saw Captain Marvel, which is the perfect lead into that movie as well.
Sure.
I found.
Yeah.
So cool.
The new trailer doesn't. Well, like
don't even say anything. I don't want to say literally. I don't want you to say anything because I don't want to know. I want to go into blind. I've already been spoiled by the thumbnails on YouTube videos that show me like what they're wearing.
I speak very vaguely.
Nah, I don't even want vague.
Okay,
I don't even want vague. I don't want anything.
Okay.
I want to go in as blind as I possibly can.
Fair enough.
What else have you been?
So I watched Dimension 404, which is a anthology sci-fi series by Rocket Jump, which I said I was coming back to. I enjoyed the series on the whole. Have you watched it?
No.
Because it's actually on Lightbox, which is why I just finally watched it, because for ages it wasn't available in New Zealand. But it's on Lightbox, so I got a free trial so that I could watch the show. And it's got some real cool ideas and some cool concepts. I just think that the acting is a little bit weak because I guess on low budget kind of stuff, you're never going to have the best actors, which is understandable. But it's just like, it's not bad. It's just like just noticeable enough. Do you know what I mean? With some characters, some are better than others, obviously. And then the script as well, I found a little bit weak in a lot of the scripts. Some of them were, again, better than ours. It's an anthology, so they're all different stories. I thought all the ideas were really cool, but often they didn't know how to end it. and resolve it in a good way. It kind of just felt like we're going to the absolute extreme, like way, you know, and just end it like just like boom. Like I guess maybe they want it to be like that, like something that would never happen. I don't know. It's kind of hard to know what they were going for, but I think it's not as well written. Like even some of the dialogue as well, not as well written as VHS was. Yeah, I mean they don't have Brian Ferenzi, who I know helped write a lot of that show as well, and he's a lot of the huge comedy in that as well. So, but yeah, that's kind of sums up my thoughts on it. Visually, everything's amazing, and direction is all really cool. And like I said, the ideas are awesome. I just kind of wish they'd thought out the scripts a bit more, from a story point of view, from a structure point of view, I guess. Yeah. Well, actually, the structure itself wasn't that bad. It was just, I guess, the endings in a couple episodes fell off for me. Yeah. And what else have I been watching? I watched a series called Afterlife on Netflix, which stars Ricky Gervais, which is a really good show, I think. It's a dark comedy. It's a little bit on the depressing side.
Hey.
But
I remember seeing a trailer. I thought that was a movie.
Nah, it's like a 8-episode series or something.
Okay. Well, is that like a... Yeah, so like there won't be a season 2 kind of thing, like a...
It doesn't feel like it's gonna have a season 2. I mean, it could for sure, but it doesn't. It feels like a movie, like a standalone movie in 8 episodes. You know what I mean, or 6 episodes, or however long it was. But it's really good, I think. Yeah, I really like Ricky Gervais as well. And I haven't seen him in too many things really. Yeah. Another thing on Netflix I watched was a movie called Paddleton, which I said last week I was gonna watch.
I think
wow.
My parents watched that and they really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Really, I thought. Really well told story, really well made movie, I think. And again, a little bit on the depressing side as well, but doesn't just because it's not feel good doesn't mean it's not good. You know,
no, of course.
Yeah, I thought it was so well told and just excellent performances from the 2 leads in that movie. Yeah, can't recommend that movie enough, really. I mentioned Arctic. Yeah, like I said, a survival movie that is not like most other survival movies I've seen. I know a lot of survival movies for me, you know, they follow similar tropes, whereas I feel this one didn't. It told kind of its own thing. Like, there's stuff that you've seen before, but I think it's been done better in this movie. So yeah, go see it, please. If you're in Auckland anyway, it's playing here. I don't know if it's anywhere else in New Zealand or not, but if it's, please find out and go see the movie if you can, and pay money for it. Thank you. And then of course Beale Street, which I've talked about as well. And the other thing I did was last Wednesday, no, the Wednesday before now, I saw the Arctic Monkeys live in concert. And
jealous.
Super jealous. That was real good. I mean, it was I kind of enjoy the experience of the concert more than I enjoy the music, because for me, anyway, the loud rock concert especially, is quite hard for me to hear the mix properly. Right. Because I feel like they just way over pump the volume on those things. So it's kind of, and we were like back middle-ish, so like, we weren't even that far forward, so it wasn't like if we were really far forward, it just wouldn't deafening. And I had earplugs that I kind of had halfway in, at least. Yeah, it's just like I enjoy their playing. I just don't feel like I can appreciate it properly at that volume. Right. I wish that I enjoy live music better if it's recorded and mixed properly. Right. But although when I did see London Grammar live, I didn't actually need the earplugs because they were a decent volume, and I really enjoyed. I mean, they're not as intense of a band, obviously. So yeah. But yeah, that's what I thought about Arctic Monkeys anyway. Like, I enjoyed the music, but like,
did you get after it? Did you get like ringing in your ears? No, because I said I had the earplugs in the whole time. Yeah. So like, I'm maybe only a tiny bit. I can't actually remember. Yeah. But speaking of live concerts, this Saturday, what I'm doing is going to see John Mayer live in concert, who, if you remember from, I mentioned obviously Arctic Monkeys and John Mayer, some of my top 5 favorite musicians and artists. John Mayer was my number 1, still is today. Yeah, his live stuff is the best live music I've ever heard. And I did see him in 2014 when he was here, and I can't wait to see him again. I just can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. What else I'm looking forward to? Arrested Development Season 5 Part 2 was finally announced. It's finally actually coming out in March, I believe, or May. I can't remember exactly, but basically a whole year after the first half of the first season came out. Ridiculous that they didn't just release it all at once, because I've honestly forgotten most of what happened in Season 5. Yeah, I'm still excited to watch it, at least. Get it over with.
I want to watch Annihilation and Cargo, which are 2 Netflix films.
Is Annihilation still on Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And actually,
trial then.
if you want to buy it, at the moment it's on sale on iTunes. I saw that, but then I read this. It's on Netflix, so I don't need to buy it. But I've heard those movies. Well, I've at least heard Annihilation's good. I don't know anything about Cargo from Martin Freeman's in it. Did I mention Leave No Trace last time? I can't remember, but I want to see that. Yeah, and that's all I've got for what I'm doing. Actually, when does Us come out? Because I need to see Get Out.
So for like a month, I thought that came out this week, and I was like,
Oh,
yes,
really?
yes. And then it actually turns out it comes out the week after.
Oh, okay. So, but it's fairly soon, so I do need to watch Get Out.
So it comes out on
For goodness
the
sake.
You need to
28th of March. 28th of March.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's what I've got. That does it for what you're doing. Which brings us to the final segment of the show, which today actually has something.
What?
So, yeah, it's time for the crunchy comments, and we got this message a week or 2 ago now on...
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube, on episode 2, Oscars, Oscars, and More Oscars.
Hey.
Someone called Joe Malone said, "Nice pod." That's all he said.
Thank you.
This is the beginning.
I believe that's KKN Malone. It must be. He's got the same last name. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's his brother or something. But KKN Malone is the username of a guy who runs Ambit and the guy who helps set up our website and all that kind of thing. As well, he's good friends with Tash from Nelson or Christchurch. I can't remember. But yeah. So there we go. We got a comment.
Yes.
Thank you
lovely.
so much, Joe. Thank you.
Speaking of commenting, feel free to comment on this when it gets on any of our YouTube videos. Please feel free to look us up on any of our social medias. We are on Facebook, Ambit, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. We also have a Patreon. So speaking of giving money to people, please give money to us. Any money that is given us on Patreon is invested straight back into the company to buy better equipment and all that fun stuff as well. So that's it for this week. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time, because we do it every 2 weeks. I've been Matt.
I've been Sebastian.
And I've been Ben.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.